What's going on, folks? It's your boy Long Beach Joe, and I am back at it, back at it, back at it again. I'm back at it again, man. Listen, we got a lot to discuss. New York Jets coaching interviews is going on. Aaron Rodgers has had a lot to say. We're going to be talking about that as well, about his future here with the New York Jets. We're going to be covering it all. Call in 515-602-9639. Again, 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. Give me 1 second, folks. We're going to connect the audio. Hold on.
Blog Talk Radio.
What's going on, folks? It's your boy Long Beach Joe, and I am back at it, back at it, back at it again. I'm back at it again, man. Whoa, right? We're back. Blog Talk, where you been at? You've been trash. Whoa. Oh, Blog Talk's working. Isn't that crazy? Right? Where were you at last week, Blog Talk? We've been trying to do shows. Blog Talk has just been on the fritz. We're going to bash Blog Talk all night because that's what we do. All right? But we've got some other things to discuss here, okay? Listen, the New York Jets, there's been a lot moving and shaking around this football team, okay? Aaron Rodgers talked about his future with the Jets. We're going to be covering that. We're also going to be talking about Ben Johnson not being interested. The Jets have also, okay, done other interviews as well. Brian Flores has come in and interviewed for the head coaching position as well as other candidates as well. We're going to be discussing all of that. And we've got a lot to talk about, man. I'm excited. Listen, I'm the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote my Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search The Long Beach Joe Show. Like that page. My content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with you folks about this football team. Also, leave me some feedback. I love hearing about what you folks think I do here on The Long Beach Joe Show. All right? I really, really do. I truly appreciate it. All right? For those of you that may not know, your boy's on iTunes. Go on over to iTunes, okay? Go on over to iTunes. Type in The Long Beach Joe Show, okay? Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, okay? And leave me a 5-star rating as well. I want to thank everybody that does that. I want to thank everybody that listens to me on the podcast side as well, that catches the audio. And salutes and respect to all of the overseas listeners as well. Again, I'm always stunned, okay, at my overseas listeners. That audience is crazy, and they want to talk Jets, and they let your boy know. Trust me. Also, as well, for those of you that may not know, I'm on Twitter as well. All right, going over to Twitter, type in @TheLongBeachJoe, @TheLongBeachJoe on Twitter, okay? Go ahead and follow your boy. I'll follow you right back, okay? And let's go back and forth. Now, I don't argue with people on Twitter. I don't, okay? I truly, truly don't. Some people want to argue with me. I don't really like having that, but it is what it is, all right? I like to have spirited discussions. That's what I do. I have spirited discussions about this football team, okay? So come on over to Twitter, again, @TheLongBeachJoe. Follow me. I'll follow you right back, and we will have spirited discussions, okay? Now, listen here, for those of you that also may not know, look, your boy is live, okay? I go live on YouTube, and we talk about this football team, and we have a lot of fun. We post content, all right? Go on over to YouTube, type in Long Beach Joe Jets, Long Beach Joe Jets on YouTube, all right? Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so when I post content, you will be in the know, okay? Also give the video streams a thumbs up and share them across your social media with your friends and your family, all right? I want to thank everybody that checks me out via those avenues. Again, salutes to the ladies. Always saying your boy's handsome. Thank you, okay? I appreciate you, beautiful ladies. But listen, when you come over here to YouTube, just know you're going to have to deal with somebody, okay? Or you're going to have to deal with some people, all right? They're It's my chat, man. And I call my chat the Savages, man. You want to know why? Because they're savage. Savage. Listen, man. My chat gets after it, okay? They don't care who you are, where you're from, nothing, all right? If they don't like your Jets take, if they don't like what you're bringing to the table, they're going to let you know. Point blank, period. They're going to let you know, and they're going to let you have it, all right? And that's the end of discussion. Nobody's safe, not even me, okay? Not even me. Salutes to the Savages watching. Put your thoughts and comments into the chat if you have questions. Do that as well. I will come to you in between callers. Again, the lines are open, 515-602-9639. But just keep in mind, I'm one man, okay? I'm one man, but I will get to everybody. Put your thoughts and your questions again, and I will address your thoughts and questions on the show live, all right? So with that said and done, let's get into it. We got so much to cover from the New York Jets and everything that's been going on around here. All right, first off, we're going to start off with Ben Johnson not being interested in the New York Jets head coaching position. Oh, boy. Now, listen, there was a lot of Jets fans, and I'm talking a lot of Jets fans, that from day one were screaming about wanting Ben Johnson. I talked to a ton of them, okay? Salutes to Bree in the chat. I see you in the building. He says, speaking of Savages, salutes from Ireland. Salutes, okay? But Ben Johnson was a guy that many Jets fans that I spoke with were constantly raving about. They were saying, hey, this is the guy we got to get, Joe. This is the guy, point blank, period. We want him. He's the guy that fixed the Lions offense. We're going to get it rolling. He's got it looking good over there. And now we're starting to hear, right, after there was a lot of confusion about why the Jets weren't necessarily bringing him in, right, we got to hear why from a very trusted source in Connor Rodgers. He sat down with Evan and Tiki and had some things to say about this situation between Ben Johnson and the New York Jets. And I want you folks to listen up. Here's the audio.
Ben Johnson let the Jets know, whether it was through back channel or just straight up, Ben Johnson was not interested in the Jets whatsoever. So this was not, and I think from the Jets, now the Jets had their own questions about him. Like I know Ben's done an incredible job with Detroit. The offense is unbelievable. I think there is a lot of questions around him of what are you going to do when you don't have the best offensive line in the NFL and all of these playmakers everywhere. Ben is also incredibly close with Adam Gase. So I'm sure if there were letters of recommendation that were sent out, I don't think Adam was sending one to Ben regarding the Jets. And the Jets also, they had a couple concerns with how Ben Johnson was going to handle the New York market, just because of how his personality is. The way that he's kind of wired, I don't think that New York was going to be a great fit for him.
Yeah.
He was not interested.
That keeps coming up, Connor. I mean, how big of a deal is that? And who, if you haven't been in this market, can handle it? It takes some time to understand how the media is going to be, how the fan base is going to be in this market. I mean, it almost feels disqualifying for most.
It does. And that's why I think Glenn works a lot. I think that's why Vrabel would have worked a lot. That's why I think Flores, I don't know, I think Flores, it's almost like a poor man's Vrabel in terms of like he's bringing the culture, he's bringing the discipline, which this Jets team could use quite a bit of. The no nonsense, no BS, like he's going to kick some players where they don't really feel like being kicked and make guys uncomfortable. I think that's what the Jets need, and I don't think that Flores in any way, shape, or form is going to be intimidated by the media.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
Which could be what the Jets. Yeah, but yeah. Ben Johnson was one where, like, I've heard some things, even just how he's personally viewed with way that kind of just the way that he acts and things like that. That I don't think it would work here, and the Jets certainly shared that opinion. And I think their stance was like, look, we're not gonna. We know you're not interested in us. Why are we going to file a request just for you to turn us down when we already have our own concerns about how you're going to handle the market? So it was like,
boom, right there. The whole shebang, okay? Listen, it was made very clear, okay, during that interview what was up. And again, there was a lot of questions from Jets fans that I knew. They're saying, oh, the Jets need to bring in Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson don't want to be here, baby. He don't want to be here. And he's made it very clear. Now, listen, here's my opinion on the situation. Ben Johnson doing a great job there with the Lions. I think he's phenomenal. But from the jump, and I'm talking day one, I constantly said on this program and everyone that I spoke with, from here on my own show to other Jets fans, I never thought that Ben Johnson was a realistic option for the New York Jets. I just didn't. I didn't think that he would come here. I didn't think that he would have anything to really do with the New York Jets. It just wasn't real. But then when you start to hear the backstory, especially when you start to hear the ties to Adam Gase, whoa! Adam Gase was terrible. He was a terrible head coach here with the New York Jets. He is the worst head coach in Jets franchise history. That man made it miserable to watch the New York Jets. He made it miserable. If you ask some players to play for the New York Jets, he made it miserable to be a fan of the New York Jets. The experience of fandom with the New York Jets with Adam Gase as head coach was horrific, okay? So I'm pretty sure, just as Rodgers said, if Ben Johnson and Adam Gase are as close and as tight as, is being reported, of course Adam Gase would never be like, oh, yeah, go ahead and go to the Jets. Of course not. He'll never say that because his time here was horrific. And again, I thought as well that there were probably more attractive jobs for Ben Johnson as well outside of the Jets, and especially when Rodgers started to hit on something that a lot of people don't talk about, right? They don't talk about it. I talk about it, but a lot of people don't. And it's the fit with the New York media and the fan base that could get ugly if you don't have the right personality as a head coach. It's the truth. And I'm going to sit here and I'm telling you, we've seen it, okay? And I'm going to sit here and bring it straight to you. New York, okay, particularly the Jets beat, the Jets media, the Jets fan base is a beast. It is a beast. And if you don't have what it takes to stand up to this media and this fan base, you will get eaten alive. We have seen Jets coaches get ran up out of here. We've seen it. Rex, beloved here. But when it was time for him to go, this Jets fan base and this Jets media let him have it. That's the truth. When everyone felt like it was time for him to go, they let him have it. We have seen, and I love the Jets beat, but we have seen that if you don't utilize the right steps, if you don't have the right attitude when facing the media, they'll completely destroy you. We've seen it as Jets fans. We've seen them take a little tidbit. I'm talking about a couple of words from a statement and flip the narrative and have somebody looking crazy. If you cannot stomach that, if you can't stand up with your chest out and your chin up against this media and this fan base, if you're not ready for the pressure of New York, you will fold. You will get exposed and you will fold. I'm telling you, it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's the God's to honest truth, okay? So if Ben Johnson, if the Jets, guys that are doing the hiring, and they're looking around and searching, and they realize, listen, this guy, he's not built for being here. He's not. He's just not. If all of the, investigating that they've done into his personality, salutes to Lil Balloon, I see you in the building, yerp. If they've looked into everything, if they've dotted their I's and crossed their T's about Ben Johnson, and the report came back, listen, he's just not built for this space. The X and O stuff, phenomenal, but he's not built for it. Then I have no issues, again, with the Jets saying, you know what? You don't want to be here. It's obvious you don't want to have nothing to do with us. We don't want to have nothing to do with you. We're not even going to bother. I have no problem with the Jets doing that. I know that there were some Jets fans, that wanted them through and through. But if Dog don't want to be here, there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. Again, I wish him nothing but the best, but I never thought it was a realistic option at all. All right. Now, continuing to move on, listen, Brian Flores, the New York Jets have brought him in for an interview, and they've conducted an interview with him. Yes. I like this. I like Brian Flores, okay? I think he's a really solid option for the New York Jets. And he's a guy that I think can really bring some things here as a head coach. Now, keep in mind, we all know he was an assistant for years with the Patriots, right? He did a lot of things there, and then he got a shot to be a head coach with the Dolphins. Now, we all know that we don't like the Dolphins over here, you know. Boo those guys. But still and yet, you know, we remember the time when he was over there. He's a solid coach, right? But there was a lot of things that went over there with the Dolphins. There were some issues, again, according to reports, okay? Him and the owner gotten into it. The owner wanted to tank, and he did not want to tank. He was the guy that was saying, hey, look, I'm just going to keep going out there trying to win, and the owner was not happy about that. There was a lot of things that went on over there. And then eventually they ended up with Tua, which, if you hear the reports about that relationship, wasn't necessarily the best, right? Tua has gone on record to call Brian Flores a terrible person, okay? He said that out of his own mouth. And, of course, you know, Flores, when asked about those comments, said he didn't feel good hearing that from Tua about himself. But he looked at it and said, hey, what can I do to take, you know, something for that so that I can be better, all right? There were also comments from Ryan Fitzpatrick about, you know, Brian Flores as well, about his time, you know, under him. And he talked about how Brian Flores at first was, you know, a very relatable guy with the players, and they were, you know, having a good time. And he was, you know, he expected a lot out of players, but everything was good. And then as time went on, he became more of a dictator, and it burned, you know, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And even with some of the coaching staff, he burned bridges. Now, I look at it like this, man, especially with the pressure of being a head coach in the NFL period, outside of just, you know, New York. But being a head coach in the NFL period is a very, you know, pressure-filled, stressful job. And I'm pretty sure at one point, again, because when you look at the Dolphins, they went from 5-11 in 2019 to 10-6 in 2020, and then 2021 they were 9-8. You know, so he had two above 500 seasons, 2 winning seasons, and I'm pretty sure he looked at it at one point and was like, hey, you know, maybe he looked at it like, hey, I got to start putting the hammer down a bit more. I got to, you know, become a guy that, hey, the pressure's on. I want to get it done, right? Listen, it's my way or the highway. And that's probably, you know, how a lot of people, he rubbed a lot of people wrong. And he started to, you know, get in guys' faces that he felt like weren't performing up to snuff either as well. So the Dolphins ended up moving on from him. And he actually in 2022 filed a lawsuit against the NFL as well for racial discrimination, which is actually still active. But he also got with Mike Tomlin in 2022 as well as assistant coach. And that's where I think, like, when I look at his road, Brian Flores, I think that he's gotten under some coaches that can help him maybe, you know, with a little bit in the leadership department as far as relating to players a little bit better. Okay, just a little bit better. Tomlin's one of those guys. We all know we love Mike Tomlin, okay? And we know that his coaching style is all about making sure that he relates to his players, but he holds them accountable. He's a guy that's no nonsense, okay? He wants you to take care of your assignment and get it done, point blank, period, all right? So then you have Flores under Tomlin in 2022. Then he goes to the Vikings, all right, 2023, 2024, and recently under Kevin O'Connell, who's a great coach as well over there with the Vikings. And Flores has got that defense rolling, baby. I mean, they're like the top of the league in I think it's in interceptions. Like, that defense is phenomenal. They're over there really good against the run as well. They're moving and shaking. And Brian Flores is the guy that is running the ship over there. Salutes to Bree. He says, I'd certainly be happy with Flores, but I want Glenn. And we'll be talking about Aaron Glenn tonight as well. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. I'm taking all callers. Callers, be patient. I'm getting to everybody tonight. All right? So when I look at this situation, I say to myself, okay, Brian Flores, under Mike Tomlin, then he goes under Kevin O'Connell. He's a guy that can come in here and really get some things done. The thing I like about Brian Flores, is the fact that he's going to come in here and hold guys accountable. He's going to hold guys accountable. I am so tired of this New York Jets football team just going out there and doing whatever and guys just getting away with it. Ain't nobody got time, man. Ain't nobody got time.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I'm so tired of watching this team go out and be just overly penalized, play sloppy, and there just seems to be no accountability whatsoever. We saw that this season, right? Guys come out and you have a 12 penalty, 13, 14, 15 penalty game under Flores. It ain't happening, dog. It ain't happening. That nonsense will not be happening under Flores. Guys are going to shape up or get shipped out. That's the truth. That's the absolute truth. And that's one of the things that needs to be brought to the New York Jets is discipline and accountability. Because as talented as the New York Jets are, and oh my goodness, are they talented. We have so much talent. So much so that Jets fans don't even understand how we're in the situation we're in. How are we not in the playoffs? How are we not? We got Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and Devontae freaking Adams. And we're not in the playoffs. That's insanity. Okay? So when you look at this situation, Brian Flores will be able to come in and immediately, I'm talking about immediately instill a culture of accountability. And that's what we need. I also think he'd be able to bring a fighting spirit to us and get us some mental toughness. It's another problem about the New York Jets. Not very mentally tough. One thing happens in a game bad, and it seems like everything just folds after that. I don't understand it whatsoever. I really don't get it. So the Jets have brought in Brian Flores, for an interview, and they've completed that as well. They've also brought in other, candidates as well for interviews. Chiefs offensive coordinator Matt Nagy. Okay, they brought him in as well and interviewed him. Of course, Aaron Glenn, who is phenomenal. I love the idea of Aaron Glenn being a New York Jets head coach. Let's keep in mind, we know he understands the pressure. He also understands the pain. He understands it all because Aaron Glenn was a phenomenal Jet, man. A phenomenal New York Jets corner for years, okay? I grew up watching him. Literally did. And to see him do what he's doing over there with the Lions defense is phenomenal. Bring some of that here because the Jets defense wasn't up to snuff. All right. So I would love him coming into the building as well. And he also has spoken about how he knows how to relate to players. That today's modern NFL is all about getting the best out of players and relating to them and connecting with them on a level. So that when you ask them to take care of tasks, when you ask them to do things, they'll want to run through a wall from you. That's something that he's spoken about as well. So that's a good mindset for a head coach in today's NFL. He also brought in University of Maryland's head coach Mike Locksley. I was a little shocked about him being brought in for an interview, but he's a solid candidate. Steve Spagnuolo was brought in as well. We know he's a DC. Of course, they interviewed Jeff Albridge recently as well. They also brought in Broncos defensive coordinator Vance Joseph. That's another guy I'm looking at. That Broncos defense gets to moving and shaking. All right. He's been doing a lot of good things over there. All right. They also brought in Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Here's another guy, right, that has had his shot as a head coach before. Things, didn't pan with the Titans, was able to get in with the Steelers, and he's moving and shaking over there. He's an interesting name. Titans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick as well. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. And also, they've brought in Vikings QB coach Josh McCown. Now Josh McCown is a very interesting name. A very, very, very interesting name. Okay? Here's a guy that's was in the league for years. Again, he was here with the New York Jets at one point as well. With Sam, and did some solid things here for us and then went on. But his name has constantly been in just kind of swirling around the head coaching candidate talk for years. I remember at one point there was a lot of talk about him becoming NFL head coach. And of course, we know he went on to the Vikings and, did his thing. And now he's a QB coach handling business. And, You know, he's going to be an interesting option as well for the New York Jets to see what he'll be able to do, who he'll be able to bring in as well, who will be, you know, his coordinators, who's going to be his DC. That's going to be a question if that's the route that the Jets go. But for me, I'm telling you, Brian Flores, Aaron Glenn, man, those are the tops of the tops for me right now. You know, I know a lot of people are talking about Rex as well. Rex is in the mix of that too. There's some names, man, some real names and some really solid options for the New York Jets at head coach. And we got to get this right. We've got to get this right because this Jets football team has a lot of talent on it, and it should be much better than it is. Speaking about getting it right, we're also going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers tonight. Listen, Aaron Rodgers came out on the Pat McAfee show recently and spoke about how his future with the New York Jets depends on who they bring in at a general manager and the head coaching position. I want you folks to hear exactly from his mouth what he had to say. Here's the audio.
To contemplate in the off season. So I really appreciate his feedback over the years. You know, it always made me feel like I was being listened to and that there were things that, you know, we could improve on moving forward. But those meetings went hours. These were much shorter than that. I gave some constructive things. You know, there's always things. There's so much that goes into the whole thing. There's the food part. There's the locker room. There's travel. There's hotel stuff. There's different. You know, you're just giving little constructive things here and there that maybe they take to heart, maybe they don't. But I think there's always ways to improve, and I was impressed to see that you know, the meeting with Christopher and Jaime was a lot about that. The meeting about Woody was more about you know, team, future, different things. But I think everybody understands that it's going to come down to a GM and a coach and myself, and whether we all want to do a dance together or if it's not in the cards.
Okay.
Listen, point blank period. He says it right there. And if, you know, as a Jets fan, I say to myself, okay, you know, I know a lot of Jets fans, some of them are like, hey, you should come back regardless. Whatever happens, you should be in a Jets uniform. And I say, whoa. Wait a minute, all right? I'm a Jets fan through and through. Salutes to the savages in the chat, I see you. But you have to look at this from Aaron Rodgers' perspective, right? Look at it from Aaron Rodgers' side of the coin. What? He's maybe got a year, maybe two left in him, maybe, but a year at least, right? You want to put yourself in the best position to go out, you know, on top. You want to put yourself in the best position to, even if you don't win a Super Bowl, you want to go out at least having a good season, a solid season, right? Well, if you look at Aaron Rodgers and you say from his perspective, if you hire a general manager that is clueless, how is that going to benefit or help him at all with what he wants to do to finish out his career? It's not. It's not at all. It's not going to help him whatsoever. And we'll get to the lines in just a second. 848, I see you in the building. Salutes to new callers as well. We'll be coming to you in just a second. How would that help Aaron Rodgers if we get a clueless general manager? It's not going to help you at all, right? If you get a guy that doesn't understand how to continue to build the football team, because keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers has been openly talking about the fact that he's willing to restructure his contract yet again and give back more money to the New York Jets so that they can continue to build going into the season. And he's also willing to mentor young quarterback, whoever the Jets were to take, if they were to take a young quarterback, he's willing to mentor them as they come into the NFL under him for a year or however much longer he's going to stay. So if you get a general manager in here that's going to just, you know, completely waste the money or not know what to do or not be able to handle players or not be able to negotiate properly and all these things, then that's not going to benefit you. Because before Joe Douglas, for those of you that don't remember, before Joe Douglas, there was Mike McCagnon. Oh, baby, you want to talk about a bad GM? Whoa. Mike McCagnon could not draft his way out of a wet paper bag. He was so bad. It was insane. It was crazy. And because he could not draft, because he couldn't find talent, right, in the lifeblood of what you're supposed to utilize to build your football team, he had to run to free agency to cover up a lot of his mistakes. That's why the Jets wasted so much cash and had issues with the cap as well, right? That was one of the biggest reasons. Anybody remember Tremaine Johnson? Anybody remember him? That was a big signing by Mike McCagnon. And that signing fell apart quickly. And it was really bad. He gave him a lot of bread. And it backfired for the New York Jets. So when you're looking at that situation and you're Aaron Rodgers, right, where you've seen the bad Jets general managers, you don't want to end up stuck under him because it's not going to help you. Then you look around at the other position as well, the head coaching position. Hey, if you're Aaron Rodgers, why would you want to come back, right, and be under a coach that the Jets have hired that doesn't jive with you, that doesn't run an offense that you want to run? Hello? Is this thing on? Right? If you run an offense that Aaron Rodgers feels like he's not going to be successful in, or if you're running an offense where he feels like, oh, this is way too complicated, of course he's not going to come back. Because guess what that's going to turn into? Offensive regression, which leads to losses. Right now, they're running like a Shanahan-y kind of offense. If you look at what we've done, right, Nathaniel Hackett is here because of Aaron Rodgers, right? They brought in and instilled the offense that they were running before with the Packers. That's one of the reasons why Nathaniel Hackett was such a big acquisition. Now, of course, we know he's the offensive coordinator with the quote fingers, but he's not even the guy calling plays anymore. It's Todd Downing. And Nathaniel Hackett is horrible, and I hope he doesn't return to the New York Jets. But still and yet, that's why he was brought here. If you bring some guy, let's say you bring in like a Patriots offense that's very complicated, a Josh McDaniels, very complicated, okay? And it's all over the place, and it takes time to learn. Aaron Rodgers is not going to come back here, especially if that's a coach that he's going to butt heads with as well. He doesn't, listen, Aaron Rodgers doesn't need another year to get that jacket and be in the Hall of Fame. He's already going to be there, dog. He's already got a Super Bowl. He's already done everything that he needs to do, right? So that when he puts it all away and says, hey, I'm done, he's going to be a first ballot. And we all know that. Every last one of us. So if he comes back, it's going to be because it's the right situation. He's not going to come back to struggle. That's not what he's going to do. Guaranteed. He wants to come back because the situation is set up in a way where he can contribute and he can succeed as well. Not just by giving money back and mentoring, but doing what it takes out on the field. And he doesn't want to have to be in a position where he doesn't trust his head coach. Because, again, I talked about Mike McCagnon on the general manager side. Does anybody remember coaches before Robert Saleh? Adam Gase. Can you imagine Adam Gase trying to run an offense with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback? That would be insane. That would be completely insane. Aaron Rodgers would probably laugh at him. He doesn't want to get stuck with a guy like that, and neither do you as a fan. So it's understandable for me to hear Aaron Rodgers talk about how the general manager and coaching hire will impact, his future with the New York Jets. He's not the only person that has said that as well. Davante Adams has talked about it. Davante Adams also talked about not only the head coach and he just said, the hirings and the guys up top, but also he talked about Aaron Rodgers coming back or not coming back will impact him going forward with the New York Jets as well. So there's going to be a lot of decisions made. And again, Aaron Rodgers is going to make his decision based off of what the Jets do. But you can clearly see and hear that Aaron Rodgers just wants solid structure. That's all he wants. All right? Keep in mind, he came here for Saleh and Douglas. That's what he came here for. Anybody remember those interviews that they were doing before he officially became a Jet? And they were asking him, why in the world would you want to put on a Jets jersey? Why do you want to go there? Why do you want to go to New York? Why do you want to play at MetLife? And he literally said out of his own mouth, I looked at the roster and I saw, wow, this team was talented. He knew the defense was good, right? But he said, I looked at their structure. They had Joe Douglas, which is a really good general manager. They have Robert Saleh, who I really love and respect. I love him as a head coach. And I looked at this team talent-wise. The defense is good. The offense has many weapons and pieces. And I realized that the only thing that they needed was me. That was it. That was his whole reasoning for coming here. He could have gone other places. He could have just stayed in Green Bay. But when he decided it was time to move on, he wanted to put that jet helmet on and go out here and handle business because we had a solid structure, a solid foundation. And if we mess that up and bring in some people and things are looking like they're going to go haywire, he's going to cut out. And I understand that. Because I brought up Adam Gase and Mike Maccagnan. Everybody remembers what happened between them. And everybody remembers, if you're a Jets fan, how this team was in complete disarray under them. I talked about, the signing of the corner, Jermaine Johnson. But anybody remember all the drama that went on with Le'Veon Bell? Let me remind you, Mike Maccagnan signed him to save his own keister. He just needed a big name to sign. He overpaid for Le'Veon. And I want to be clear. I love Le'Veon Bell. Loved him. But he dramatically overpaid for Le'Veon Bell. And him and Adam Gase were not on the same page. That's why Le'Veon coming here didn't work out the way it should have. Because Adam Gase never wanted him. And he treated him as such. Rarely utilizing him effectively within the offense. He was giving Gore carries over Bell. And at that point, Le'Veon Bell was literally regarded as still one of the best running backs in the league. And we couldn't utilize him effectively in our offensive scheme because Adam Gase didn't want him. Disconnect, complete miscommunication, an unsolid structure. Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to have anything to do with that. He's not going to stick around for a clown show or a rebuild. And these hires are going to tell him where the Jets are going. So I understand his stick there. I get it. So as we continue forward, again, the New York Jets have also done some general manager interviews. Mike Borzini, we talked to him. Ray Farmer as well. Mike Greenberg, they've brought him in. Okay. Darren Moogie, they've brought him in as well. Lance Newmark, Trey Brown, Chris Spielman, okay, Ryan Grigson. Those are guys that they brought in for this general manager's position. It's going to be very, very interesting to see who they actually bring in. I've been talking about Ray Agnew for a long time. That is the Lions assistant general manager. And I'm hoping to see him on this list for requests and interviews because I love what he's done over there with the Lions. All right. Also, 49ers quarterback coach Brian Griese declined the Jets head coaching interview request. All right. And for those of you that may not know, Mike Vrabel is now the head coach of the New England Patriots. They snatched him up very quickly. Okay. Very, very quickly. Okay. As quick as it could get. But I mean, I told everybody. I thought that Vrabel was going to be the guy over there, and he was. It was a no-brainer for me. Okay. Even though he interviewed with the Jets, there was no doubt in my mind that once that Patriots job became available, and they moved on from Mayo, and I think he got a raw deal. But once they moved on from Mayo, I said, oh, that's Vrabel's job, hands down. Okay? We're also going to be talking about the New York Jets quarterback position. Salutes and respect to Bree. He says, I want to run it back so bad. He's talking about Aaron Rodgers. There's some Jets fans that want to do that, but there's also some Jets fans that want to move on, which I'm a little surprised and shocked about. But we'll be talking about that, man. And also the Jets have signed Onerapoki Wilson as well to a reserve and futures contract. So we're going to be discussing all this. Again, 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. I am taking all callers. So much going on around the New York Jets. So many things moving and shaking. Please give the stream a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so when I post content, you will be in the know. All right. Also, if you want to give to the platform, Super Chat is at the top of the chat. Cash App is at the bottom if you want to just give through Cash App. Anything you give to the platform is greatly appreciated, okay? Keep in mind, new callers, the only thing I do not allow on my show is cursing. Don't call into my show cursing. I'll get you out of here fast. I'm talking fast. Faster than we got rid of Adam Gaze. Woo! That wasn't fast enough. That was not fast enough, okay? Goodness gracious. I remember the Johnson brother saying that he was a beautiful offensive mind. Do y'all remember that? That was horrific. That was horrific. Oh, my goodness. He called Adam Gaze a beautiful offensive mind. My goodness, man. The Jets they've come a long way, all right? But we've got to find the right guy to come into this building and get things together, all right? Because if we don't, there's going to be some continued issues. We get into the lines again. 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. First caller we're going to Max. We're coming directly to Max. I know he's got some things that he's got to say. Salutes, Max. For those of you that do not know, okay, there's a lot of things going on with the Jets, but keep in mind, Max, he's a savage. Savage! Salutes, Max. A lot of things moving and shaking with the New York Jets, man. What are your thoughts about Ben Johnson not being interested in the Jets head coaching position? Some Jets fans are upset about it. What are your thoughts?
I completely understand why Ben Johnson's not interested because, Woody Johnson, he's a really bad owner. He's actually like one of the worst owners in the NFL. And, his son, Brick Johnson, is a Nepo baby. He's probably going to trade for players based on the Madden range. You're probably going to have a shadow GM with his son, and, it's incompetence, If we had competent ownership, we would have gone Ben Johnson because, he's a top offensive mind, the Lions offense is number one in the league, because we have incompetent ownership with Woody Johnson. I completely get why Ben Johnson declined us because, he doesn't want to be part of a shit show,
Well, watch it. Hey, this is a family show. Hold on, Max. Max, it's a family show. Watch the cursing. Okay, don't curse on my show. It's a family show.
So what I was saying
but hold on a second. Hold on a second. I want to bring up something, though, and I hear what you're saying, right? The Lions offense is phenomenal, and Ben Johnson is handling his business over there, point blank period. But how much of a factor is fit when it comes to bringing in a guy to be a New York Jets head coach? If his mindset or if his attitude and everything that they've, investigated about him, if he's just not the right fit for the pressure that comes with being the New York Jets head coach, having the media on your back, having the fan base raving and screaming every second, if you make a slight wrong decision, you should be fired right that minute. How much of a factor does that play into why the Jets will look at Ben Johnson and go, okay, you don't want to be here. We don't think you're the right fit here. We're going to move on as well.
So I think, it's the right fit because, our fan base is impatient. We are impatient. We need, I feel like the Jets fans need to be more patient. I get the New York media is like very impatient, but like our teams have been terrible and the reason why we've been terrible is because the fans are impatient. One wrong move and you're fired. With Saleh, there were these Jets fans for 3 years trying to fire Saleh. Like, no, we had Zach Wilson. He was terrible. He was the worst quarterback I've ever seen as a Jet, on the Jets. He couldn't even complete a screen pass. And everyone's like, fire Saleh. His offenses are trash. When Michael LaFleur was the offensive coordinator, he was a very good OC, but we ran out of time. The fan base is impatient. Then we got Nathaniel Hackett. He's a horrible coordinator. He makes Michael LaFleur looked like, Sean McVay. Like, Hackett was a terrible coordinator, and, the fans need to be more patient. Other fan bases are more patient. Like, you could look around other fan bases. They're way more patient about their product, But, I completely understand why fans are impatient. We have the longest playoff drought in the history of professional sports.
Yeah.
Because, the Kings used to have, the longest, and then now we have, the longest in professional sports at 14 years.
Yeah, it's a rough go. There's been a lot of issues with the Jets and a lot of things haven't fell our way. But as we continue to go forward, I think if we get the right head coach in here to be able to turn things around, and that leads me to my next question for you. Brian Flores recently interviewed with the New York Jets. He's a name that I like a lot. What are your thoughts on the possibility of him being the next New York Jets head coach, and do you think he'd be the right guy to instill that type of accountability and discipline that the Jets need?
So I think Brian Flores, I wouldn't really like it because in my opinion, I mean, Brian Flores, the positives of Brian Flores is, he's good at discipline, he's good at accountability. His teams are least penalized. The Dolphins teams are good, but two areas which I really do not like about Brian Flores is one, if you get a young quarterback in here, he's going to be bad for a young quarterback. Like hearing about what he said to Tua, and I understand he didn't want Tua, but you shouldn't demean just because you don't want someone in the building doesn't mean you shouldn't demean him every day. And then not only that, he had 4 offensive coordinators in 3 years as a Dolphins head coach. He had 4 offensive coordinators because he couldn't work well as an OC. And I hope he learned this in Minnesota, being surrounded by good offensive staff with KOC. But I feel like if you hire Brian Flores, it's going to be like Robert Saleh 2.0. That's just my opinion because you can't get an offensive coordinator to save his life. He had 4 OCs in Miami, and his offenses, he never had a top 10 offense in Miami. So I just and if you want a defensive head coach, I much prefer Aaron Glenn because at least he was a former player.
Talk about
he understands turnarounds. He was Bill Parcells said he was a good coach. I saw some podcasts saying Bill Parcells was a good coach and he can turn around this Jets team. So that's just my opinion on it.
Yeah, and listen, Aaron Glenn has been a name that a lot of Jets fans are talking about constantly. I've been talking about him. I think he's one of the top guys as well for me to bring it into the building. And not just because of what I think he'll be able to do with the Jets defense, getting that back into shape. For those of you that do not remember, the Jets defense was looked at as one of the strongest defenses in the league coming into the season, but they didn't play like it this year. Okay, and that went into a lot of the reasons why we were losing too, which is completely crazy because we thought the defense would really be the strong point of the New York Jets, but it faltered quite a bit this season. But yeah, I think Aaron Glenn will be able to come in here, and again, when we talk about fit, when we talk about attitude, when we talk about understanding the pressure of, being the head coach of the New York Jets, or understanding the pressure of what it's like to be a New York Jet, period, to deal with the media, to deal with the fan base, Aaron Glenn would be the most perfect fit because he's been here. He knows what it's like. Not only, just from a player standpoint, he understands what it's like, but he understands the Jets, period, because he's a guy, he's one of the stars of our franchise, literally, for years, was a great player here with the New York Jets. So I really do like the idea of bringing him in here as a head coach as well. Now, there's another name, Max, that I don't know, man. I'm hearing a lot about, and I've heard a lot about, becoming a head coach for years. But Josh McCown, man, he recently had an interview with the Jets as well. What are your thoughts about him? Do you think he would make a solid head coach?
I mean, he'd be a good head coach, but I think it's too soon because, he only has quarterback experience. He should be an offensive coordinator. I feel like Josh McCown would be a good coach in the future. Once he has offensive coordinator experience, I just don't think hiring him right now is a good idea. I feel like maybe in 3 or 4 years, I feel like Josh McCown could be a really good head coaching candidate, once he has offensive coordinator experience. Because, right now, KSC calls plays, but if Josh McCown – and he only has like a couple years coaching experience, so I feel like he should be an offensive coordinator first and then become a head coach. But right now, if we hire Josh McCown, it's probably going to turn into a Freddie Kitchens experience. Freddie Kitchens had no experience. He was on the Cleveland Browns, and then he was fired after 1 year. Same thing with Jerome Mayo. I actually said this last year on a call-in show. Jerome Mayo had 5 years defensive backs. He never had experience, head coaching experience. He failed with the Patriots, so it's either going to be like a Jerome Mayo or Freddie Kitchens situation if we hire Josh McCown.
Well, look, I think it's a tough to Jerome Mayo got a raw deal, to be completely honest with you. One of the worst, if not the worst roster in all of football, even though the Patriots beat us this year, which is crazy. They probably have the worst roster in all of football, going through a rebuild with a rookie quarterback. I think he got a raw deal. But I do understand, the Kitchen situation and what you're saying about, McCown. It's just interesting because I hear about him almost every year. You hear a little bit about him being a guy that people are looking at as being the next head coach or the next leader of their franchise. So really interesting. So as of right now, Max, who are your top 3 guys right now for the Jets? Who are the top 3 guys that you would be happy if the Jets got either one of them?
So for general manager, so my top 3 GM candidates. So I was actually talking about this on a Matt Leary show. So Ray Agnew's number 1. Before Ray Agnew was on the Rams, the Rams were mediocre 7-9 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
When Ray Agnew took over the Rams, they made the Super Bowl, even though they didn't win it in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
With the addition of Matthew Stafford, they won it in 2021. And then went to the Lions, Ray Agnew, and then he hired Motor City Dan Campbell. With Ray Agnew and Dan Campbell's help, they turned around the Lions in 3 years. And if you turn around the Lions in 3 years, you should be able to get hired. You should be able to get an interview. I'm pissed off that Ray Agnew hasn't even gotten an interview with the New York Jets because seriously, he could be a good GM candidate. The Jets have been out of the playoffs for the last 14 years, and if we hire Ray Agnew, he can fix a lot of the problems of the Jets. My second general manager candidate is Thomas Dimitroff of the Atlanta Falcons. And the reason why I think Thomas Dimitroff can be a good GM candidate is because, the Falcons were really good at drafting those 10-11. They had 10-11 winning seasons. The Jets haven't had a winning season since 2015. I feel like Thomas Dimitroff, and he built the Super Bowl worthy roster. They were up 28-3. They should have found a way to win the game. Like they choked it at the end. My only concern with Thomas Dimitroff is like his downfall in Atlanta, who couldn't draft defense. And if you hire Thomas Dimitroff, he's going to hire a defensive minded head coach. I mean, originally I was like, I don't want the defensive head coach doesn't work today's NFL. You need to, if you want to hire a defensive coach, you need to hire a strong offensive coordinator. If you're looking in the NFL playoffs right now, McDermott's a defensive guy. He's going against Harbaugh, who's a special teams guy. Then you have Dan Campbell, who's a tight ends coach. He's going against the Commanders, defensive coach. Then in the next NFC matchup, Rams-Eagles, we have 2 offensive guys, Sirianni, and then we have McVay. So it really doesn't matter as long as our head coach has a competent coordinators. I feel like it'll be good. And then for head coaches, my top 3 candidates, Ben Johnson doesn't want to come here, but Aaron Glenn is a good fit. I'm really starting to grow in Aaron Glenn because he actually isn't afraid to hold players accountable.
Yep.
Because on the lines they keep 2 guys out. He's a good coaching candidate. One of my top options, is Joe Brady. I feel like Joe Brady could be a good coordinator. The only concern I have is he wasn't as good of an offensive coordinator when he was in Carolina.
Yep.
And I hope he isn't like a product of Josh Allen being like a good quarterback. And then my third head coaching candidate is, Liam Cohen of the Buccaneers. He's a good offensive guy. And then Bobby Slowick is also a potential good hire. But the problem is that Houston's offense was so good last year. But this year, the offense kind of regressed. So it's really a wild card to see who we get as a head coach.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
that's just my thoughts on it.
Listen, Max, those are some very, very interesting names, and you brought up Agnew. I've been talking about him constantly for a while, okay, and wanting him to be the New York Jets' next general manager. Like you said, and I've been talking about it. If you can turn the Lions around, the Lions at one point were a complete laughingstock in this league for years, and he was able to turn things around. And look at what they're doing now. They got Campbell over there. He's installed a culture, and they play to the wall. And that is a very tough football team. Their defense is flying around. Their offense is getting it done. Like, wow. So, yeah, those are some good names. Now, I want to go over to the offensive side of the ball with you, Max. And there's been a lot of talk, man. Aaron Rodgers has come out and said that, the head coaching hire and the general manager hire will play a big part in him returning to the Jets. What are your thoughts about that?
So if we hire like competent general managers and competent head coach, I think Aaron Rodgers should come back. We have no receivers. We had the receivers had the most drops last year in the National Football League. Devontae Adams is kind of a shell for himself. I mean, they connected the last couple of weeks. They've been better over time, and there are a lot of Jets fans that think, we should get rid of Aaron Rodgers. Like, what quarterback play? We have the best quarterback play in the last 10 years. I mean, he's gonna make. I mean, if we get a competent general manager, like if we get, say, Thomas Dimitroff, for example, or we get Ray Agnew. Hopefully, the Jets hire Ray Agnew. Maybe Woody Johnson would be such a dummy, and maybe actually interview Ray Agnew instead of all these other general manager positions, like Ryan Grigson of the Colts. I mean, Ryan Grigson. If we hire Ryan Grigson, I already know Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. He's not going to come back because Grigson was a terrible GM. The only good pick was Andrew Luck, but 99% of general managers would select Andrew Luck. He was that generational. He ruined Andrew Luck. If we get Grigson, he's gonna ruin Aaron Rodgers so bad. His offensive lines, when he was on the Colts, when he was general manager of the Colts, he couldn't even build an offensive line. He failed so bad at building offensive line that Andrew Luck retired at only 29 years old because of how incompetent his offensive lines were.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we get a competent general manager, either Ray Agnew or Thomas Dimitroff. We were going to get Borgonzi, but the Titans hired Borgonzi quicker, because we know we have too many names as head coach. We have 18, 19 names. I mean, it's go or going through a comprehensive list, but at this point, enough is enough. You should go to second round of interviews. You should be shortlisting coaches, not adding more coaches to the list. That's just my thoughts on it.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm right there with you. I'm a guy, and I understand, some Jets fans have their own perspectives, but I'm all about bringing Aaron Rodgers back. So I want to make sure that I get, the guy that's point blank period. I want to make sure that I get the right head coach that's going to come in here and fix this football team. Because, again, realistically, Aaron Rodgers, maybe a year, 2 years left at the max. So I want to make sure that I get the right guy in here, the right guys in here, a general manager and head coach to continue forward with this football team. But, you want to make sure as well, Aaron Rodgers coming back, I'm all about that as well. I get that some Jets fans want to move on from him. I don't necessarily understand why, because after him, you have nothing. You really have nothing. There's no one to really take the reins for the New York Jets going forward. I understand some people screaming about Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis hasn't shown us anything yet. He's still dealing, with that injury from what we know. The last time that we spoke about him, Sulla was saying that, it's going to take a bit longer, than we thought. So he's still up and handling his business. So we don't know what's going to happen with him going forward into the future at all. So I'm looking at the situation. I'm saying, okay, well, then you looking at the draft, this quarterback class in the draft is kind of shaky, baby. Outside of Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, which right now the Jets are at 7. I don't think they're going to be able to get up to get Shedeur or Cam, and do you want to give up the capital as well to get up there? It's a lot of questions. So I think if you were to keep Aaron Rodgers for at least a year or maybe 2, but at least a year more, it'll give you a situation where you can cultivate a young quarterback under him, get him ready to go, and that when Aaron Rodgers moves on, he can take the reins, especially when you have Aaron Rodgers stepping up and saying that not only is he willing to give money back on the contract yet again so that you can continue to build, not just around him, but the quarterback going forward as well that's going to take over when he's gone, but he's also willing to mentor a young quarterback as well, which is something that a lot of older quarterbacks don't like to do. We've seen that in the past as well. So why not, bring Aaron Rodgers back, right, Max?
Yeah, I agree with you because, I was saying this on a Matt O'Leary show with, Zach years ago when Zach Wilson was drafted. We need to set Zach Wilson behind for a year with Flacco. He was like, we shouldn't do that. But, I was right from the beginning. I was like, Zach Wilson was raw. He needed time, If we keep Aaron Rodgers, we need to draft a quarterback. I mean, if Drew Aller comes out, he could be a good quarterback. He's a big arm, or Jackson Dart can be a good option. Or maybe in 2026, you have Arch Manning, you have Nico Amalava, Tennessee. So there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the next couple of years that are coming out. Even though this quarterback class is weak, hopefully Drew Aller comes out. He definitely is raw. He's not that good. But if he gets developed by Aaron Rodgers, he could be a lethal quarterback in years to come. He could be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Yeah. Listen, Max, this has been a phenomenal call from you. Before I let you go, give me the name of one coach that if the Jets hired, you would be furious. What is one guy that you've seen from the interview or from the request process from the Jets and all those things that if they hired him, you would just be furious with that hire? One Jets head coach.
Matt Nagy is one coach I'll be furious about. I mean, he was terrible with the Chicago Bears. I understand he made 2 playoff appearances, but he can't develop a quarterback to save his life. Brian Flores, I'd be pissed off about. I mean, I understand he was good with the Dolphins.
Flores? You'd be mad about Flores?
If he hasn't learned,
wow.
If he gets hired, it's going to be a train wreck. Hopefully, he has learned enough from Minnesota, but he was not. He had 4 offensive coordinators. He's going to be like Robert Saleh 2.0. He's kind of like second coming of Robert Saleh. If you can't get, because in Miami he shuffled through 4 offensive coordinators. He's kind of like the same exact thing as Saleh's problems. He shuffled through offensive coordinators because he couldn't find the right offensive coordinator to save his life. Not saying he's a bad coach. But also if you have a young quarterback, if you're just going to demean around him. And I saw reports that that Ryan Fitzpatrick couldn't handle Flores. If Ron Fitzpatrick, he deals with most coaches. If he couldn't deal with Brian Flores and come on, I just would be spirit. I mean, I prefer Aaron Glenn over Brian Flores. That's just my thoughts on it.
Okay, listen, Max, it was phenomenal speaking to you. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you. All right, my friend.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely, man. Listen, Max talking that talk tonight. That was a good call from Max. He brought some takes, man. There was a lot of things he said that I agreed with. We're going to come to the Savages again. The number to call in is 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. When you call in, be patient. We will get to everybody. I can see you. Okay? We're going to go to Bree. Salutes the Savages in the chat, Bree. He says, Max is right. McCown ain't ready for a head coaching position yet, but I'd love it if he took over the OC job under Glenn. I wouldn't mind that either. Bernard Nixon, salutes and respect to you, Savage. Bernard says, Joe, do you think Rodgers is washed? That's an interesting question, man. Here's the deal. I think that Jets fans and even some players on the Jets team thought that what they were getting from Aaron Rodgers was a 25-year-old Aaron Rodgers. And let me explain what I mean when I say that. If you look at the New York Jets, the issues with the Jets offense this year, the issue with this Jets football team, right? When you look at a lot of the problems we had in the preseason, before the season started, we were all talking about a lot of different things with this Jets football team, right? We said, hey, this defense is going to shut things down and they're going to stop people. And often the defense faltered, right? And wasn't able to shut things down. We saw them come out and get cooked often this season, right? Okay, cool, right? But then when you look at the offense, right, what did we say was going to be our strong point, Jets fans? When everything falls down around us, when everything is just going down, okay, and it's just a poop show. We can't figure out anything. Nothing's going right. What are we going to be able to do? We're going to be able to lean on our running game. That's what we're going to be able to do. We're going to be able to hand the ball off to Breece Hall and Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis, and we're going to be able to run the ball effectively. Absolutely not, Jets fans. That's not what happened. The New York Jets were 31st in rushing this season. I'm going to say that again. The New York Jets offense was 31st in rushing this season. So what does that mean? That means that you have to then turn around and rely on Aaron Rodgers to take over games and throw a lot. And that's what we saw this season. Because our running game was so ineffective, you had Aaron Rodgers dropping back and throwing a bunch of footballs when realistically, all we really needed him to do this season was come in and be an above average game manager. And far too often, we were trying to ask Aaron Rodgers to save us at 40. He's not 25 anymore. He's 40. Right? And we saw he was 40 when he would drop back and we had an offensive line, mainly left tackle, before Olu got put in there, right? Tyron Smith was letting guys just blow right past him, and Aaron Rodgers was getting his head taken off. We know that he dealt with a knee injury. We saw it against the Vikings when they bent him backwards, and he was screaming in pain and crawling on all fours on the sidelines. We saw that his hamstring was jacked up. We saw all of these things, all the hits take effect. We saw him being, very antsy in the pocket because he didn't want to take another shot because the offensive line, particularly on that left side, before Olu was put in there, was getting him jacked up. So when you're not running the football effectively, you're asking a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers to drop back and throw the football a lot to save your football team, right? And then you also got wide receivers dropping footballs. The Jets led the league in drops. Like, come on, Now, Aaron Rodgers did have his faults. There were some games where he did not play well. But I think that he has the ability to still be solid in this league. He still had a chance to break the Jets' single-season passing yard record, franchise one, to smash it. When you look at what he was able to do, at one point during the season, he had top 10 stats as a quarterback. going into the late part of the season. If you would have told me before the year that Aaron Rodgers would have stats where he would be top 10 in the league and he would have a chance to smash a franchise record, right? A franchise record for passing yards, and he would, in a single season, he would have all these. I would have told you the Jets are going to be in a Super Bowl. But the other part, you didn't tell me that the Jets couldn't run the football effectively at all, and there would be issues with them doing that. The Jets are a team that is all about ground and pound. 984, I'll be coming to you in a second. No matter how much people try to get away from that, we cannot, because that's how this football team is built. Okay? We're led by our defense. We play complementary football. We run the football to take the air out of the game, and we destroy you. That's how we play. Aaron Rodgers was supposed to have 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 3 at the most, right? Make a throw, move the chains. That's what he was supposed to be doing all year long, and it did not turn into that. Okay? So I don't think he's washed. I still think he has a year or 2 years left in him. Of course, again, he's not 25-year-old Aaron Rodgers. He's not. But I still think that he, could come back and be solid under an offense and take care of business. I'm going to come back to the Savages in just a second. Again, five. The number to call in is 515-602-9639. We're going to come back to the Savages in just a second, but I got to get back to the lines because the lines are moving, okay? Again, when you call in, please be patient. We're going to get to everybody, okay? We're going to get to everybody. Trust me, all right? So next caller I'm going to go to is my guy from North Carolina. Oh, boy, I know he has some things to say to us. For those of you that do not know, this man, he's a savage. Savage! Salutes, my friend. Good to hear from you yet again. You are in the building. There's so many things moving and shaking right now with the New York Jets, man. And I want to start off with this. What are your thoughts about Brian Flores possibly becoming the next New York Jets head coach? How would you feel about that if it happened?
I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad.
Mm-hmm.
Brian Flores is a good coach.
Yeah, he is. What are your thoughts about some of the people
Brian Flores is a good coach.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about some of the people that think that he would clash with the players in the New York Jets organization currently? Do you think that he maybe has learned a little bit from his time under Tomlin and Kevin O'Connell?
Well, the Jets have some good people. Sauce Gardner and Brees Hall. When I watch the interviews and watch them when they speak, it's just a certain energy.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like good guys. I think overall the program just needs structure. It needs discipline.
Mm-hmm.
Cut out all the penalties
Mm-hmm.
and the waste within the organization. And Brian Flores is a tough disciplinarian coach.
Mm-hmm.
People used to say, people talk about how surly, how mean Flores is. Bill Parcells won't nice either.
Yep, that's a
Bill
fact.
Parcells was rough. If you can go on YouTube, look up. I think they got the audio where he's talking to some of the, I don't know if it was the Jets players or the Jazz player. He told one guy, he said, "Come here, you get kicked out of this game. You're going home. I just want you to know that. Are you going to run or are you going to duck down? You can get on that bench and stay there." But those coaches are remnants of them coaches how they used to be. From back in the day, Vince Lombardi, they were tough coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing because what it is, the team would be in the image of the coach. If the coach is rough and tough, why do you think those Giant teams in the 80s were so savage? And even them teams in the 70s under their head coach, their legendary coach, he's dead and gone now, was so rough because they had a tough coach. Mm-hmm. Even the Packers back in the day, Vince Lombardi, he was tough and he set the template for all these coaches, Parcells and all them. Mm-hmm. That's who they followed after. It's that discipline. It seemed pretty harsh, but what it is, the ones who made the cut, were tough. They were tough-minded. I remember Lawrence Taylor talk about Bill Parcells. Look it up. Lawrence Taylor talk about Bill Parcells. He said, "I couldn't do nothing right." Now, if he can't do nothing right now, the rest of us don't stand a chance.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine Harry Carson. I think about the names. They had some good names. Harry Carson and George Martin, Jim Burt, Carl Banks, and if Lawrence Taylor couldn't do nothing right, oh my God.
Yeah. No, yeah. Listen.
Oh man, these players now have a screw.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I was talking about. And I understand, some Jets fans wanting other people as well. I think Aaron Glenn would be a phenomenal option as well for the New York Jets. But if Brian Flores was brought into the building, I love the fact that he would bring that discipline and accountability, because that's what this team needs. This team is talented enough. This team is way too talented to not be in the playoffs, but is absolutely talented enough to be competing for a Super Bowl. But they just lack accountability and they lack discipline. We see it in the way that they play. We see these games where they go out and have a ton of penalties. Like every game, you're having over 10 penalties dang near in every game. Like that's unacceptable. And there's no excuse, because we have so many veteran guys here, far too many, to be handling business the way that they do. So next, I want to go.
That's true.
I want to talk about Aaron Glenn with you, man. What are your thoughts about him as an option to become the New York Jets head coach? Because there's a lot of Jets fans that love the idea of him being the guy, me included. I have no issues with that. So what are your thoughts?
If Aaron Glenn is hired as the new head coach of the New York Jets, I will clap and I will celebrate. I love Aaron Glenn. I love him. I'm old. I'm an old Jets fan. I remember when they drafted him out of Texas A&M. You remember when they had that wave of them short little corners that came out there? It was him,
Talk about
Terry Glenn. Remember that? All of them do. But they could kick return. They were versatile. They could kick return, punt return. They could do everything and play corner. But they kind of pull Aaron Glenn back from kick return. They didn't want to take no chances with him. So he was capable of doing that. But he was an excellent corner. He was a technician. I remember seeing him break back on passing when you see the receiver, run like a stop, and he would run around and stop, and then you see Aaron Glenn disappear, and then at the last second you see him break right back into the screen and deflect the ball or pick it off. He was on that level. He was really good.
Yeah.
We talk about Revis, but Aaron Glenn was no joke. He was the next best thing right behind Aaron Glenn, right behind Revis. That's how good Aaron Glenn was.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn was a bad little man.
Yeah.
There was no joke.
Yeah. No, he was.
People like to play the old tape of Dan Marino on the spike. That's one of the rare times you would ever throw anything on Glenn. That's how good Glenn was. Glenn just didn't give up reception.
Man,
I remember he got beat. I think it was the wide receiver from the Seahawks. I'm trying to remember. You may know the name of that dude. He was one of the top deep threats. I remember he did get Aaron, and then they tried him again. And Aaron was with him step for step and went over the top of him and picked it off. And I remember he came down a certain way and he tweaked his knee on that play. He picked him off. They tried him again, and Aaron picked him. And I'll never forget that. Aaron Glenn is just exceptional. Exceptional human being. We have a very special man that has so much going for him. I would be happy. I would celebrate. Oh my God! If we hire Aaron Glenn, because see, then I don't know, between him and Ben Johnson, they'd be battling for them other coaches from Detroit as far as purging that staff to see who can get the coaches. It's gonna be interesting. We hire him. How many go with Aaron and how many go with Ben Johnson? Yeah. So that's something to keep an eye on too,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And man, you brought back some memories, man. I remember Aaron Glenn and Marcus Coleman. Anybody remember those? That cornerback tandem.
That's
boy,
right.
Oh boy.
That's right.
That was
right.
really
That's
good.
when the Jets were good.
Man, let me tell you.
And
Victor
what people
Green.
don't realize.
Woo,
that's right.
Mo
Victor
Lewis.
Green. They had some good. Mo Lewis. They had some good football players. Those were some good football teams.
Yes.
People act as though the Jets history, they've never made the playoffs or never had winning seasons. That wasn't true.
Yeah.
The biggest thing, the shadow over this organization, is that they didn't go. They had 4 opportunities in the title game and lost on the road all 4 times.
Yep.
It was 83 in the Dolphins. I think they should have beat that Dolphin team. Yeah, that Dolphin team, they had the killer bees, good defense. But their quarterback, no. Their quarterback was not. I don't think it was David Woodley. Was not Dan Marino. They should have ate him alive. But I think the conditions, the muddy field, somehow it slowed us down. It was a big letdown. I think Marty said they beat us 3 times. It's hard to believe. I was a kid. I think I was like 12, 13 years old, and I remember losing that game, and it was like a nightmare. That's my first experience, early experience as a Jet fan. I remember watching the Orange Bowl, watching that game, that muddy field. Was like, oh my God.
Man.
But I think losing that game, and I believe losing that Steeler game in 2010.
That is my worst. That is my worst loss. That when the I remember that.
Those two.
I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
That's
oh,
right.
My goodness.
Oh yeah. Those two, we probably had a chance to win.
Yes.
Certainly 83.
Yes.
It was really supposed to be us and the Redskins. It's supposed to be the Sack Exchange versus the Hog. That would have been the matchup. You see how Klecko and Gaston would have matched up against, I think it was Big Joe Jacoby, what was it, Russ Grimm. Some of them cats they had over there were big. You know, at that time, you didn't see 300-pound linemen. So they were like freaks of nature to be that big. And I remember they were projecting those early matchups for the Super Bowl. It was supposed to be the Jets and the Redskins. Mm-hmm. But it's something to remember, think back and remember.
Yeah.
Now, the other two games, obviously, we couldn't win that. That's the Denver game, John Elway going to Denver. I'll give him that. And Peyton Manning, the coach, even though we had a lead.
Yeah.
And we gave it that touchdown. And under a minute, I remember Jim Leonard looking around like they blew the coverage.
Yep.
And we lost that game. But I look at our history. If we went on and beat the Dolphins in 83, and if we would have went on, and I believe we should have beaten the Steelers, our roster was just as good as theirs. I mean, Aaron's they're stronger than us, and Aaron's we're stronger than them. They're a little bit strong at linebacker. They're a little bit strong at safety. We were better at corner.
Oh.
We were better at O-line. Both of us about even at running back. They were better at quarterback. We were evenly matched. I'd probably give Pittsburgh safety, slight edge at linebacker, big edge at quarterback, and I think that's about it that I could have gave the Steelers over us. Otherwise, we were just as good as them.
Oh, man. when I tell you, I will never forget that game. Losing that game it just ripped my heart out. That is my worst loss as a Jets fan because I thought that year.
I remember Rex.
Yeah, Rex was furious, and I remember that year really believing
he took his headset off.
Yeah, and threw it. That was the year. I mean, of course, was it 2009? I thought, we could get into the Super Bowl, but 2010, I was like, oh yeah, this is our year. And I remember. I remember when did Mark threw the interception early and they ran it back for a touchdown? I think it was. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, that's right.
I was just like, come on, man. But we had so much of a chance. And I just remember the Steelers, they have like this speaker system in their stadium, and it was echoing through the stadium. I could not get that out of my head for weeks. I just kept hearing, Steelers. That's literally what it sounded like. Wow. It was horrible. That was a horrible loss. I just
it was.
Oh man, that was brutal. That was absolutely brutal. Let's move on to something else here, okay?
Yeah,
because we got I want to know, right now, who are your top 3 head coaches that you would like to see the Jets, pick out of? Who are 3 guys that you're looking at right now and you would be like, you know what, if the Jets get one of those guys, I'm all right with it?
Obviously, right at the top, Aaron Glenn, Brian Flores, and that third one I would have to think about.
What maybe there's some people that like you said Aaron Glenn, you said Flores. There's some people talking about maybe they've interviewed Matt Nagy. Would he be one of those guys? Spagnuolo, would he be one of those guys? Some people like Arthur Smith. Would he be in there? Rex is another guy that some Jets fans constantly are talking about. He's uber confident.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, he could be in that mix, and you could pick one of those guys. There's some other guys. Slowick as well. They've interviewed. So there's another guy you could pick that could be in that mix as well. So there's some guys definitely out there, man. But as we continue to talk
Rex,
about,
Rex was kind of my dark horse coach.
Yeah.
Rex was, even though people consider him kind of a relic of the past because he's been away for a long time. And football has changed so much because now you have all these mobile quarterbacks. Back when Rex was coaching, you had the Ben Roethlisberger. You might have a few other quarterbacks. Now it's literally 60%, 70% of the teams now have mobile quarterbacks. You don't see that drop back classic pocket guy like the Marino, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Dan Fouts. You don't see those quarterbacks anymore. Now they're dual threat. They got a little Elway on them where they can get out of there and escape.
Yep.
A little Randall Cunningham, where they're freaky and a little bit scary. Mahomes, Josh Allen. What's my man over there in Baltimore? Lamar Jackson. Now more and more you're seeing them. That's right, the dual threat quarterback.
Yeah.
And people are not sure how Rex would adapt to dealing with these dual threat quarterbacks because he likes to blitz. You know, Rex is Rex is kind of like Bud Carson. He's Buddy Ryan. He like to come after you and blitz and run blitz packaging. And I'm not so sure how that would translate in modern NFL because you miss and you don't take that quarterback down. That quarterback can turn around and break it against you 15, 20 yards if you miss him. So, you know.
Yeah, me personally, I think that Rex would be able to adjust his defensive scheme. Because I understand the blitz. We all know Rex came with exotic blitzes, but when you give Rex a guy like Will McDonald, right, who had 10.5 sacks this year, and you give him like some other legit pass rushers, he'd be able to settle down that stuff and really get those guys working. Because we also got to keep in mind that Rex runs a 3-4, 4-3 hybrid type defense. So he's gonna make adjustments for the guys that are in point blank period. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna handle business. Me personally, I think Rex could adjust, but again, he's one of the guys that I would be interested in seeing be the Jets head coach. But again, Aaron Glenn is like my top guy right now. And I like Brian Flores too. I really do like Brian Flores, and Rex is in the mix, at least for me as well. So I really like, some of your picks there. Now, as we continue on, what are your thoughts about the situation with Aaron Rodgers, man? There's a lot of Jets fans that are that don't want to see him come back, that are ready to move on from him, right? We've heard it. I've talked to many of them. What are your thoughts about this, man? Do you want to see Aaron Rodgers return back with the New York Jets next season? Because he's already saying that, his return is based upon, the general manager hire and the head coaching hire from the Jets.
That's right. Well, I'm like this. If we do hire a new head coach, let's say we do hire Aaron Glenn and whoever the GM is on board with bringing Aaron back, then, who am I to say no? I can go along with them and trust them that they can manage the situation, that we'll be okay. And I understand that if we have Aaron Rodgers as our quarterback, and if we get ourselves a good head coach and a good general manager and continue to make some upgrades in the talent, add on to what we already have, this team could probably get to 9 wins, maybe even 10 wins, because our offensive line is intact. And all we need to do is bring a coach in here who can, bring some discipline and structure to this organization. And I think we probably can vastly improve off that alone. We can double, if not a little bit better, our win total, which is 4 games? Mm-hmm. I think we can win 9 games, maybe 10 games if everything goes the right way,
Okay.
If we can keep Aaron healthy.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of bringing him back because there's nothing after him. There's nothing.
Yeah.
There's no answer to the Jets quarterback position. Listen, and I understand people want to try to sell
Even though I think a lot of Tyrod Taylor,
mm-hmm.
but I don't know if Tyrod can stay healthy over the course of a full season, which he historically hasn't done throughout his career,
Yeah.
And then who's coming in after that? Now I hear names like Justin Fields, who I really like coming out of college.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised from the jump we didn't draft him after his bowl game performance against Clemson. He showed so much heart and guts with broken, cracked ribs.
Yeah.
To perform like he did. I'm surprised we didn't draft him, and I'd be kind of happy if we brought Justin Fields in. And let's say we go to the quarterback room of Aaron Rodgers.
There's been talks of
maybe Justin Fields and maybe
Yeah, there's been talks of us. There's a lot of Jets fans that want to see the Jets trade for J.J. McCarthy from the Vikings. Because of everything that Sam has done over there. There's a lot of thoughts that the Vikings might extend Sam and keep him there. And, there's a lot of talks about, going after J.J. McCarthy. So that could be an option for the Jets. But, again, you look at the situation as of right now, there's no answer. There's no answer. Even when you look at, some people try to sell me on Jordan Travis. I haven't seen anything from him. So you get rid of Aaron Rodgers.
Jordan is a dark horse. He's unknown.
Yeah. He's still dealing with, that situation. So who knows? Who knows what the future holds with him? So I have no issues. I would love to see the New York Jets bring Aaron Rodgers back for at least one more year, especially when he's already told you he's going to give money back, or he's willing to, and that he's also willing to mentor the young quarterback that you bring in behind him. So why not? It's a win-win. Why not do that? I don't understand why you wouldn't. So for me, that's that. You definitely want to bring him back, especially again.
Yeah, that's right.
When there's other players on the team telling you, hey, me coming back depends on if Aaron Rodgers is coming back, because if Aaron Rodgers walks away,
and you know what?
I could see Devontae and Garrett Wilson walking away. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's true. Because I wonder what the fallout will be, or the implications are if Aaron decides to leave, or if the new regime decides not to bring him back.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need to rebuild our wide receiver core.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, we have Garrett, and that's it.
Yeah.
We have Garrett, and that's about it. Now, I do like the new wide receiver, the other cat that we drafted. We didn't really utilize him. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Courtly.
He was kind of raw.
Malachi
and a little
Courtly.
route running work, you know. That's right, Courtly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, he's got a lot of tools and potential. Hopefully, the new regime will come in and maximize him and get him going, and then just be creative and figure a way to get this cat on the field and get him going.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we can get him going, he could produce.
Yeah.
Let's say he could bounce back this year and give us 700 plus 800 yards. That's nice.
The crazy thing about
you know
him,
what I'm saying, opposed to what he did last year.
the crazy thing about him is, it seemed like they didn't understand how to utilize him within the scheme. It was so weird. Everybody, when he was brought in, when he was drafted, everybody talked about, oh, this is the Yak King. Oh, we're going to mimic a lot of things that were done in Green Bay. Oh, he's going to catch a lot of screen passes, a lot of bubble screens. He's going to be moved in a short routage. He's going to get the ball in his hands and be able to. And it just never came to fruition. It was like something that we talked about, and then it never happened. And then he just kind of, fell apart. And of course, he had that drop, that fumble that should have been a touchdown. Just dropping the ball before crossing and getting into the end zone.
That's right.
But his utilization within the offense was confusing.
And it burnt him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely confusing. I don't understand it. So.
Yeah.
But we'll continue.
Who do you think is going to be the new general manager? You have any idea, any inside tips on who you think could possibly be the guy? I know we interviewed a number of people.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys, man, that they've interviewed. I know Mike Gorzongi. I know that he's been interviewed again, I think, by the Titans. There's some other. There's a couple guys. We could end up. With a man, I could see Spielman getting the job. There's some other guys as well. I really would like to see Agnew be brought in and get an interview. He hasn't gotten an interview yet. I've been talking about him for the longest. I don't know if that'll happen. I know they brought in Greenberg.
Yeah.
So there's some options, but I could see the Chiefs assistant GM getting the job here if. He's still available. Again, we're live, so there's a lot of things moving and shaking right now.
That's true. That's true.
Either him or like Greenberg, I can see too, because Greenberg is he's a Long Island guy. He's worked, quite a bit with the Bucks. Did a lot of things over there. So, you know what I'm saying? I can see those guys getting a nod there. So that's who I think is going to be the GM. But again, I don't understand how Agnew hasn't been brought in yet. But go ahead, give me your thoughts.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I just hope that this 33rd team, this is a new experiment. Hopefully they can hit for us. We need that badly and get it done.
Yeah.
And get us our general manager and get us our head coach. I've been hearing about a package deal that we bring in Aaron. It's possible some of the people associated with him, maybe front office or whatever, could be brought over as possible GM.
Yeah.
Or something to that effect.
Mm-hmm.
With like a package thing. I'm hearing him. I'm hearing that with Flores as well. You know what I'm saying, from Minnesota, some kind of package deal where he's brought in, some of his people could be brought in to fill the general manager position as well, which is interesting. I never heard of that before because we've always seen it separately.
Mm-hmm.
So they come from different organizations and they bring them together, and that could be something different, could be something very effective because at least they've been together, they're associated, they know each other.
Yep.
And then possibly maybe you can get them on the same page because if your GM and head coach are not on the same page, it's not going to work.
Exactly. And we all remember that
saying?
from Gaze and McCagnon. Yep. Rex and Idzik is a good one, too. Rex and Idzik is a very good one.
That's right. Oh, my God.
That was horrible.
Oh, my goodness.
The Idzik 12, that was terrible. That was terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Right.
So,
but Idzik was just an accountant. He wasn't really a general manager. He had no scouting background, none of that, like Joe Douglas. He was just a guy that worked with numbers, and which he was able to do, but he wasn't a guy to evaluate, roster and
or talent,
scouting, and know anything about. That's right.
Yeah, that wasn't his forte, and we saw it live.
No, it wasn't.
Most of his draft picks just completely busted out, and a lot of them were hurt immediately after he drafted him. He completely ignored injury histories, all that stuff, and just That was bad.
Devin Smith, remember
Yep.
wide receiver Devin Smith?
Yep.
I think that was one of the people under him that
Oh.
never saw the field. And I thought that kid had a lot of potential, a lot of speed, explosiveness, and he just never made it on the field.
Was
Never
Devin
saw the
Smith
field, so,
Idzik? I thought
yeah.
that was McCagnon. I thought Devin Smith was
I'm
McCagnon.
not
I think he
Oh, was
was
it McCagnon?
McCagnon. Because I remember Devin Smith.
Okay.
I think he was McCagnon. I'll look that up, but I think Devin Smith
Okay.
was McCagnon. But
Yeah,
McCagnon was
yeah,
terrible
yeah.
too. McCagnon was bad too.
Yeah.
He was horrible. He
You
would
know what
draft
it is-
guys and then
you know
cut
what
them a
it is,
year
McCagnon?
after. Come on.
You know what it is with McCagnon? McCagnon knew how to hit on the first round, but
Oh
then after
my
that,
goodness.
he couldn't hit.
Did he?
Now, if you gave the first round to McCagnon, like if you gave this top 7 pick we have now to McCagnon would hit. He'd give you a Pro Bowl, a good
Man.
player. But after that,
Nah.
nah.
McCagnon drafted Darren Lee.
Yeah,
That guy was a bust, and he took
yeah,
him in the
that's
first.
true. That's true.
He took him in the first too.
Yeah, they
But
tried to use him as a 3-4, and Darren Lee was a 4-3. I thought we were going to switch.
Oh,
When we got
man.
Sheldon Richardson, remember that?
Yep.
Darren Lee, I thought
Yep.
we should have went on and switched to the 4-man front then.
Yep. I remember
That's why
that.
when Salah came on, I was so happy. I said, he's going to switch us back to the 4-man front. That's our history, 4-man front. Then we got Darren Lee and then Sheldon Richardson on that. I just knew we were going to switch.
Yeah.
So I think those cats could have really been good as 4-3, type player, 4-3 alignment,
Yeah. No, it was rough. It was really, really rough. McCagnon.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my goodness. That was.
And I'll never forget it. I was at the job working, and I was looking at YouTube, and then I got a notification saying Mike McCagnon is by. I said, what? I was shocked. I was like, what? I see it flag. I don't know what channel, Jet channel it was. They were posting Mike McCagnon, Jets GM has been fired. I said, what? Mike McCagnon. And I felt so bad for him, losing his job.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I felt for Joe Douglas. It's always bad news. I think I felt more for Joe Douglas because I think about the memories of him and what he did and that 2022 draft and the Jamal Adams situation, how he handled that. I had so much respect for him and so much regard. He seemed like he was just doing things the right way, and it's tragic. It seemed like his tenure with us was truly tragic.
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton got hurt. Cameron Clark hurt his neck and was forced into retirement.
Yep.
And Joe Douglas, took a lot of heat for that, because the offensive line didn't develop the way we had hoped it would. And
it just didn't work, man. But we got to get the right guys into the building. We got to get the right guys into the building going forward. Because
we got
baby,
to.
there's a lot of questions, and we talked a little bit about it, and I've talked about this in the past. Aaron Rodgers bails.
Yeah.
There's a hole at quarterback. But there's other things that the New York Jets could end up losing, right? We could end up losing Devontae Adams.
That's right.
He could say, hey, I don't want to come back.
That's true.
We've already heard rumors that Garrett Wilson could possibly want to ask for a trade and get up out of here as well this offseason. So now you down 2 wide receivers and 2 significant, stars on your team. And then what do you think is going to happen to, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner? Those guys ain't going to want to go back through another rebuild because they've been through that. They've been through, hey, we're going to draft this young quarterback. He's going to come in and lead you guys. They were the guys, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson were the guys that were begging Aaron Rodgers to come be a Jet. Anybody remember that?
That's true. Yeah,
So,
that's right. That's right.
No, they've been through this before. So, it's going to be a interesting offseason. But listen, before I let you go, my final question for you quickly. Give me the name of one coaching candidate that you are not interested in whatsoever, that you don't think the Jets should have anything to do with it. And after that, 857, I'll be coming to you. Give me one name.
I was thinking about Mike McCarthy. Even though Mike McCarthy is well respected, but I'm thinking about how many years he's been in the league. Once a player's been around a long time, a coach, sometimes that spark, that creative spark they initially had, that's what people talking about Mike Tomlin with Pittsburgh, because he's been around a while. I wonder what McCarthy has left,
So you're thinking so if the Jets hire Mike McCarthy, you wouldn't like that at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't be comfortable with it at all.
Okay.
But he's one of the guys that they hired him. Now, if we would have hired him back when we hired Gase, I could have been comfortable with it at that time instead of hiring Gates. We don't have Mike McCarthy.
Oh,
but
man.
now I think the timing. No, I don't think so.
Okay. Listen, my friend, it was great speaking to you. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you. All right.
Hey, definitely. You take it easy now.
Absolutely. Listen, he came on talking that talk from North Carolina. That guy is always bringing the fire, man. We're going to keep getting to these lines. Again, 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. Chris, I see you. I am coming to you, okay? I am coming to you. Let me get to the Savages just quickly in just a second. But, Chris, you are the next up. Hold on, okay? Listen, salutes to all the Savages in the building, all right? GVH salutes to you, Savage. He says the cost of keeping Devontae is too high unless he restructures, which he won't if Aaron leaves. He's still got it, though. It's a financial thing. I'd explain the other wide receiver, but as a non-Jets fan, they are just Jags. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens going forward, all right? We'll see what happens going forward. Lots of talk about David Carr as well. Salutes to Jack Kenna. He says, Joe, what if the Aints cut Carr? I'd want him back. Listen, Carr would be an interesting option, but I don't know if the Saints are going to cut him. I don't think it's going to happen, me personally, but we'll see, okay? Salutes to all the Savages in the chat again. Outlaw salutes. He says his choices for coaching options for the Jets. His number 1 choice is Flores. His number 2 choice is Glenn. And his number 3 choice is Rex Ryan. Okay. All right. I see guys in the building. Salutes June, June, the GM, says Flores would be a disaster in NY. He says we need Aaron Glenn. Okay. I don't think that Brian Flores would get I don't think he'd be a disaster. But I think, he's got some things rolling. GVH says, I think Devin Smith was Idzik. I've actually done the research, y'all. It was Mike McCagnon that drafted Devin Smith. I remember it. Leonard Williams was the first-round pick, and Devin Smith was that second-round pick. I remember that because Devin Smith was out of here immediately. He never did anything for the Jets. Nothing. And that was another thing about McCagnon. He couldn't hit on anything after the first round, if he hit on the first round. And I remember talking to a lot of Jets fans about how that was going to hurt the New York Jets down the road. How mid-round picks matter. I used to literally go on tirades with Jets fans. Well, it doesn't matter. We got Leonard Williams. Leonard Williams was solid when he was with us, right? But if you don't hit on those mid-round picks, if you're only getting one player out of the draft every year that can come in and do something on your football team, how do you expect your football team to look? It's going to be bad. It's just math, okay? There's 7 rounds. If you just keep all your picks in the draft, there's 7 rounds, which means you have a chance to get 7, solid players, decent players. Generally, your first-round pick is going to be your starter. He's going to handle business, generally, right? He's going to come in off the bat and really give you production. Second-round pick, he can do some things too, but usually third round and down are guys that you can develop, but they can all come in and do some things, right? But if you're only getting one guy out of 7 that's going to come in and do something, and the rest of the guys are either off the roster the next year, because Mike McCagnon used to do that. He would draft you and then cut you the next year. He did that before. So when you're getting nothing from these drafts, these guys aren't even able to come in and feel, some type of roles on the team. Just be a role player. He couldn't even find guys to do that. So, nah. Mike McCagnon stunk. He stunk as a GM, man. He stunk. And that's why he ran the free agency. GVH also says, Joe, after all these years in Sulla's 3-4 defense, do you think we can do anything else? Don't think that Quinnen or McDonald can do well in a 3-4. There's some things. I don't know. Like I said, if you bring in the right defensive coordinator that can run that hybrid system, you can move guys around and make things work. That's one of the things that I think makes Rex so intriguing. Because Rex, I'm telling you, Rex has been able to utilize guys that people thought were completely trash and should be out of the league. Okay? Aaron Maben was a guy that was considered a first-round bust. Chris, I'm coming to you next. Aaron Maben was considered a first-round bust unanimously, okay, throughout the NFL. Rex Ryan brought him in and figured some things out within his system, utilized Maben, and Maben was producing and getting sacks in a Rex Ryan defense. Man, it was crazy to see because a lot of people thought that Aaron Maben, there's no way, he's trash, he's never going to be good. Rex brought him in and said, I know exactly how to utilize you. And that's exactly what he did. So we'll see. You know, a lot of things you can run, a lot of hybrid systems. But we'll see, man. I don't know if the Jets will go to a 3-4 though. We got some guys that it's gonna take some changes. If you go strictly to a 3-4, there's gonna be some changes for sure. But you know, there's ways. So we're going to keep it rolling, get back to these lines. Again, 515-602-9639. 515-602-9639 is the number. Call in. I'm taking all callers. Salutes to the Savages in the chat. Please continue to watch the stream, give the stream a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already. Put your thoughts in the chat. I will come to you and address your questions or your statements, okay? Next, we're going to Chris. And I know he's got some things to say, all right? We're going directly to Chris. For those of you that do not know, Chris, he's a savage. Chris, salutes, man. Happy New Year to you, all right? It's good to speak with you, man. Been a lot of things moving and shaking surrounding the New York Jets right now. Listen, man, Ben Johnson. According to reports, Connor Rodgers, I started the show with it. He made it very clear that he did not want to be the head coach of the New York Jets. What are your thoughts about that, man? What are your thoughts about him just not even being interested whatsoever in coming here?
I don't want anybody associated with Adam Gase with this team. So he's one of the coaches I do not want. I don't want him. There should be no interest in that.
Okay. I listen. He just has ties. He's close with Adam Gase. But you know, yeah. I respect it. What are your thoughts about Brian Flores, man? There's a lot of Jets fans that love him, love the idea of him coming in and instilling, some discipline and accountability. And there's other Jets fans that are not interested in it at all in him coming in. They feel like he could be, have some issues with players on the team. What are your thoughts about him possibly becoming the head coach of the New York Jets?
Brian Flores, a Brooklyn guy, a very disciplined, very hard-nosed player. Mm-hmm. I think he would be better off with another type of team. I think these teams got guys that want to win right now. Mm-hmm. And that's the decision the Jets have to make, what they're going to do with this team. And that has to do with the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. If they want to say if this team got talent and they said, hey, we need the right coach and we need the right system, and then we can compete at a higher level. We need to add a couple more players, which I'm on the board with, and then we can compete at the higher level. Then if we bringing a guy like Brian Flores in, I don't know if he can handle like an Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, Reese Hall. I don't know if Brian Flores has the mentality to handle superstar players like that, and I don't know if he can. If that's going to work with those kind of guys, because those guys have accomplished in the NFL. I think you need a guy that's more a coach's type of player, a guy who has offensive ingenuity. So it just depends on what the Jets blow up this thing. Then bring Brian Flores in, discipline and everything. But if they want to keep some of the team together, then they got to bring in somebody else.
So who's the guy that you, because again, you don't want to have nothing to do with Ben Johnson. I feel that. Brian Flores, you're saying is not a guy. So who's the guy that's out there that you want to see be the next head coach of the New York Jets?
I would like to see Joe Brady as the coach.
Okay. Why Joe Brady?
Because I think this league is moving towards offensive coordinator. I think you can grab a good defensive coordinator like Mike Zimmer and actually solidify the defense. But everywhere as Joe Brady's is going, the quarterback play has been in even LSU and the organizations, even in Carolina, well, it was this little stop there. But But I think Joe Brady, I've been watching him in LSU. I think he has the offensive mind state to win. If he wins this game tomorrow against the Ravens, I mean, there should be serious talk about this guy. I mean, he's offensive genius. Reminds me a little bit of the guy in Los Angeles. So I would like to see Joe Brady at this team. Yeah, and also a big thing is the quarterback development. Let's start developing some guys that can actually play, you know?
Yeah.
Sean McVay extended the life of a lot of people thought what's the guys in L.A. was done. They thought
Mike LaFleur.
Who?
Are you talking about the offensive coordinator?
No, they thought the quarterback.
They thought
the quarterback
Stafford.
was Matt Stafford. Yeah, he extended Matt Stafford. So I'm sure if you put Joe Brady and Aaron Rodgers in the room, I'm sure you can come up with some great offensive plans. I'm sure you have Devontae Adams there. You know, him or Mike McCarthy. You know, I want to see offense. I want to see what we could do on an offensive level. I mean, I love the guys. I love Eric Glenn.
Yeah.
But I think we need to go with a more offensive kind of coach, man.
Okay. Listen, you're giving us some great takes. I hear a little feedback. I don't know if you have this on Bluetooth or something. If you could kind of correct that situation just a little bit. Man, I'm looking at the situation, man, and those are some good takes. And I get it. And again, there's a lot of people that are not interested in McCarthy for various reasons. There's been a past with him and Aaron Rodgers, which is interesting. But I know that Aaron recently has kind of talked about him, you know, that he was a good coach and things like that. But he's also an interesting name when you talk about the New York Jets. Him coming here is interesting too. And I've heard, you know, as well as, you know, there's a lot of Jets fans that do want that offensive minded coach to be brought into the building, and it's because they want to see Aaron Rodgers come back next season. Are you on that same boat? Do you want to see Aaron Rodgers return? Because he's made it clear that his return is based upon who the Jets hire as a head coach and general manager.
I don't think you have a choice, Joe. I think that if you get rid of Aaron Rodgers, you're gonna see a mass exodus. I mean, even though Quentin Williams endorsed Aaron Glenn and everything else, I mean, you got Devontae Adams, you got Garrett Wilson. And as much as Garrett Wilson talks, you know, about Garrett Wilson did a lot of drops this year, man. And I mean, he got to take ownership of that in terms of if he's trying to be saying he's going to be a number one receiver in this league. I mean, there's a couple of balls that were thrown to him that he didn't pick up, man.
Yeah.
You know, and could have helped us in some games.
That Steelers,
So, Garrett Wilson.
That Steelers, that ball that came off him in that Steelers game turned into an interception. That hurt.
Yeah,
that hurt. No, I hear you, Chris.
Yeah, I mean,
preach.
Yeah, he got to take ownership for a lot of the things that he does.
Okay.
So I mean, Garrett. I mean, I like Garrett. You know, I like him. But I think sometimes he rubs me the wrong way in thinking he's he's Jerry Rice when he hasn't shown that. You know what I'm saying? Garrett's a nice, great player, but he's not Jerry Rice. And Devontae Adams is a proven guy in this league, and like I said, I'm for bringing an offensive guy in here. I like Aaron Glenn. Met Aaron Glenn personally. Like the guy when he was with the Jets. I met him personally on a numerous times. Lived over there in Uniondale, Hofstra, when they used to practice over there. Aaron Glenn's a great guy, man. Really good guy. On and off the field, he knows our team. He knows the practice. He knows this team. He bleeds this team.
Yep.
But I think we're in a different era of football, man.
Okay.
I mean, I love Aaron Glenn. You know what I'm saying? But I think that, but yeah, we have to bring back Aaron Rodgers, man. It's just not a choice. I mean, listen, Joe, I understand everybody is mad and stuff, but listen to me. It's time to win, man. We can't go through another 5 years of rebuilding, and a lot of the content creators for the Jets want to talk about, taking down this team and then taking down the, restructuring and building. It's like every year we're talking about rebuilding this team, man. At a certain point, Joe, it's like, you know what? We're gonna go all out for this thing. We did it. And I've told you this, and me and you went back and forth on this.
Yeah.
It's only been 1 year, in my opinion. I'm gonna give that. If we throw away the year Aaron Rodgers was hurt, right? It's only been 1 year, really.
Yeah.
Okay, Matt Stafford's still competing.
Yeah.
He's in the, you know what I'm saying? Matt Stafford is still competing.
Yeah.
So why are we saying, oh, let's get rid of this guy. Let's bring Tyrod Taylor and Garrett Wilson likes this guy. Man, Garrett Wilson dropped a lot of balls this year, man. He did.
Okay.
And if Garrett doesn't want to, gets mad or something, and that there's a draft, man. We could always use extra picks, man. And Garrett wants to go off to somewhere like Kansas City, and think he has again. He cannot drop a pass with Patrick Mahomes. I'm telling you that right now. He ain't going to be able to do that. So Garrett wants to listen. This is all about pleasing Garrett Wilson. At this point, my thing is like this. I'm not saying trade Garrett Wilson. I'm not saying that. I like to see the guy on the team.
Yeah.
He has to understand that this, you can't have it both ways. And like I said, he said, oh, we have Tyrod Taylor. Okay, Tyrod Taylor. Oh, we can just do Tyrod Taylor and Drake. But the Giants tried that, man, and they were like 4-3-12. They gave Tyrod Taylor the ball, and they were 3-12. Well, you can't do that, man. You can't give Tyrod Taylor the starting job. You cannot do that.
Yeah.
Because he was 3-12.
Yeah.
You can't. You got to go all over. You got to give this Aaron Rodgers thing 2 to 3 years. Then if it doesn't work, hey, you know what? Trade Sauce.
Now,
trade
Chris.
and then you could really start. Then you could really listen to me.
Chris, I was with you until you said 2 to 3 more years.
We really.
I was listening.
Listen to me.
Go ahead.
At this point, hear me out.
I'm listening.
And I'll finish up and I'll hang up. You got to give this thing about 2 years, and here's why. You can always blow up the Jets, right?
Yes.
And you can blow up the team. Because we've always, this is what I'm telling you, and you can agree with this. And every Jet fan that's listened to me agree with this. We've always been good enough not to be bad. We never got the Joe Burrows. We never got the top end quarterbacks. If we're going to rebuild, if they said, hey man, this team, then get rid of everybody, blow the entire thing up, trade Quinnen, trade Sauce, trade this, get rid of Aaron. I would respect say, listen, we're going for a total rebuild of this organization, and we're going to build it in. We got like 25 picks and stuff. But you know what? We did that before.
Yeah.
We did that before.
Chris.
And there's no quarterback, and there's no listen.
Yeah.
There's no quarterback that you're looking out there.
Yeah. Listen.
In any of these things.
Hold on a second. I'm gonna give you your time. I don't want you to hang up because this is a good discussion. I don't want you to hang up, Chris. I want to hear from you. I was with you until you said 2 to 3 more years. I don't think he has like 2 to 3 more years after this. We'll see. Okay. But I understand your point. Okay. I would like to see Aaron Rodgers come back as well. And here's why. It's because there's no answer at quarterback after he's gone. None. Okay.
Yeah.
When you look at this upcoming draft, it's not filled with guys that's gonna come out and beat Joe Burrow. Okay. Look, you got Shedeur Sanders, which everybody regards as probably the best, and then you got Ward. Some people are arguing who's 1 and who's 2, but after that, there's some problems. There's some other guys that are as well in the draft, but whatever. And guess what? The Jets are not right now at 7. I don't think we're going to be able to give up enough capital to move up and get those guys, especially when you look at some of the holes in the Jets roster. And then the fallout that can come. The fallout that can come, and I'll turn it back over to you, and you can quickly finish up because I have one more question for you. The fallout that can happen from that is if Aaron Rodgers is gone and he moves on from the New York Jets, you can say, in my mind, you can say goodbye to Devontae Adams. You can say goodbye to Garrett Wilson because Garrett is not going to stay here. And you're probably going to say goodbye to Breece Hall. And then other guys like Sauce Gardner, who I'm sure Sauce Gardner has said that he wants to stay and he wants to turn it around. But if we're talking about going into another full-blown rebuild with no answer at quarterback, they've been there before. Those were the Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner, and Garrett Wilson were the guys sitting around a fire. Anybody remember that video? They were sitting around the fireplace outside, literally begging Aaron Rodgers to become a New York Jet. They literally did that.
Right.
And they put that video out on social media when Zach Wilson was the quarterback and he was still on the roster. So if you don't have no answer at all anymore, like I expect those guys at some point to move on. And then you might as well go into a full-blown rebuild. So, Chris, go ahead and finish up. And my final question for you as well is What is one coach that you do not want to see the New York Jets have anything to do with? Quickly go ahead and finish up.
Okay, so quarterbacking in the NFL is so hard. I thought that Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence were assured to be a great quarterbacks in the NFL, right? And they're struggling. It is so hard to nail a quarterback position, even though the guy from the Redskins is having a good year. Hey, Robert Griffin III had some good years. We don't know. So, I mean, it's so hard to nail that position, man, in the NFL. If you got somebody marginally good or above average, you got to keep them. And for a coach I don't want, sad to say, I don't want Mr. Rex Ryan.
Ooh, okay.
You know, I don't want him. I think Rex best days is now. I appreciate what he did, but you know, Rex couldn't manage the offense.
Okay.
And I don't see what he can do now. I don't see anything, you know. And his draft choice, he drafted Calvin Pryor and didn't trade up for the you know, these kind of things are just, you know, crazy. He got Calvin Pryor and he didn't get what was the guy's the offensive tackle that's playing 10 years for the Cowboys. So
I can't remember the guy's name, but I remember those.
Zach
guys.
Martin. Zach Martin.
Zach Martin. Guard. Yeah, Zach Martin.
He got Zach Martin, and then he got Calvin Pryor.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
Chris?
you know, or David DeCastro, one of those guys.
Yeah.
And you got Calvin Pryor. So clearly, then he drafted the fullback. And then, you know, the Rex wants a different type of football, and I appreciate what he did for the organization.
Mm-hmm.
But he couldn't manage a quarterback either.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez wasn't a great situation either.
Well,
you know,
no,
and you failed the quarterback.
They gave Mark a really good roster for a couple years, but it did fall apart towards the end. But he had a top running. Right. Mark was the issue those years. Even he was better in the playoffs, but even in the playoffs, he hurt the Jets a lot. But the Jets had a top tier running game. They had weapons. Braylon Edwards, and Santonio Holmes. They had guys. Mark was poops. Right. But listen, Chris, this is a phenomenal call from you. Okay. Next time I have a show, I want to hear from you. All right.
All right.
Absolutely.
See you later.
Man, that was we had some great calls tonight. Time's getting short, okay? Forgot to bash Blog Talk. We were doing so well. Blog Talk sucks. I just want to put that out there as well, okay? Throw that right at you. You know what I mean? I just throw it right at you. Blog Talk is trash, okay? We didn't bash him enough tonight. Salutes to all the savages in the chat. I see you in the building, all right? We got to close this out because we're getting short on time, and you know Blog Talk going to hate on me. Even though they hate on me pretty much every week, they barely work, all right? Listen, I am the man of the people. I'm here for the people. Let me shamelessly promote my Facebook page. Everyone go on Facebook, search The Long Beach Joe Show. Like that page. My content's up there. Go ahead and give it a listen. Message me. I'll message you right back. I love going back and forth with all you folks about this football team. Also, leave me some feedback. I love hearing about what you folks think I do here on The Long Beach Joe Show, okay? Also, for those of you that may not know, I am on Twitter. Go on Twitter. Type in @The Long Beach Joe, @The Long Beach Joe on Twitter, okay? I am the troll that lives under the bridge, and I will have my Vera Tucker jersey on at all times. At all times, okay? I'm hoping that we work something out with Vera Tucker at some point, okay? I'm really hoping, all right? I would like to see him be a Jet for years to come, but we will see what the future holds, all right? So please go ahead and follow me. I'll follow you right back. I'm the troll that lives under that bridge, me and Vera Tucker, okay? I'm also on YouTube as well. Going over to YouTube, type in Long Beach Joe Jets. Long Beach Joe Jets on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that notification bell so when I post content, you will be in the know. Also give the video a thumbs up. Share them across your social media with your friends and your family. And if you don't troll me, get in the comments and troll me as well, and I'll go back and forth with you. And always, people, when you see me in person, okay? When you see me in person, it is arms out, chest open, free hugs for everyone. Free hugs for everyone. I want to thank you folks for listening, watching. Any way that you interact with the show is greatly appreciated. Without you folks, I am absolutely nothing. I want to thank you folks for listening and taking the times out to join your boy for the show. So until the next show, you folks have a good one. Peace. 1 second, folks. Pow. Okay. Listen, I want to thank everybody for joining your boy. We'll keep these things going. For those of you that do not know, I have shows year around. Okay, we do this radio show thing, and we have a lot of fun. Again, salutes and respect. GVH says, "Go Busta Rhymes on him, Joe." I had to speed it up, man. I had to speed that up. Blog Talk be hating. So yeah, we have a lot of fun on this on this channel. We do a live radio show here, and we have a lot of fun. Please join. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so when I post content, you will be in the know. Give the streams and videos a thumbs up as well. I put out content. There was videos put out today as well. Please check those out if you haven't already, and there'll be more content coming as well. We talk about the New York Jets on this channel, but keep in mind to call into the show on my radio show or just to talk or to be here, you don't have to be a Jets fan. Okay, I have a lot of fans from other fan bases on this team. Bears fans, Falcons fans, Raiders fans, Steelers fans, Patriots fans come here sometimes and join. What's other? Man, I got fans from all over the place. Seahawks fans. I think I said that. A bunch of fans, okay, that come here from various organizations. Browns fans, Bengals fans that come over here and really have a good time. Packers fans as well. Come over here and have a great time over here, and we really enjoy ourselves. So please, 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 come on in, man. Join and call in as well to the show. As y'all heard tonight, we had a bunch of really good callers, and we have a lot of fun. Speaking about the call-in show, like we do tonight, please make sure when you call in, you have a good phone line, all right? Don't call me from a phone that you found in a Home Depot dumpster. I need to be able to hear you, okay? If I cannot hear you, then my audience can't hear you, and I don't know what we're doing here. I'm just going to move on, okay? If you have a headset, as y'all heard tonight, I forgot who it was. There's a headset, kind of some echoing, some feedback. I'm going to ask you to remove that headset. I don't know why, but it causes like echoing sometimes when you talk to people. Just ask you to correct that situation. But if your headset is crazy or something's going on and I can't hear you and you echoing wild, I'll just move on. Okay, I cannot continue forward with you. Also, background noise. All right, there's a lot of people that call me. They be at work. I love it. Get your money. Okay, there's a lot of things going on in this world. Got to get your money. Okay, and I respect it. I love that people listen to me when they're at work. They listen to me when they're at the house cleaning up. Some people listen to me while they're making dinner. I love it. Okay, but listen here. All right. Cut the background noise. All right. Go somewhere quiet. Some people call me from their construction job. They on their jackhammer. Put the jackhammer down. Go down the street. Call your boy Joe. All right. Let's have that conversation, and then we'll move forward. Okay. But I need to be able to hear you. If I cannot hear you, there's nothing I can do. Okay. There's nothing that I can do, and I will move forward. All right. Man. Yeah, we have a lot of fun, man. I have a lot of fun here. Oh, this number right here, that's the number to the show. It's the number for the foreseeable future. Blog Talk sucks, okay, but that's the number. So when it works, this is the number, okay? When this number doesn't work, okay, there's other ways I will have you call in, and we have live shows. Salutes to GM. I see you in the building. He says Sullivan GM, Aaron head coach, watch and see. What up, Joe? Salutes. What's going on? What up with you? We'll have another way for you to call in as well. Okay, so don't worry. I'll post the number to that in the chat, and you guys will know. We've done that before, but that's only when this number doesn't work. Okay, so yeah, we have a lot of fun here. What a lot of people do is they'll call in early to the show, because generally my show starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. Okay, changes different days because my schedule is a bit wild. But yeah, they'll call in early. I'm not telling you who's doing it. It's Rusty and Val. I'm not going to tell you who's calling in early. Okay, it's Rusty and Val. But my phone lines for my show open up, I think, at 7 or 6:50 p.m. Eastern, from what I believe. Some people say it opens up before that. And then I go live, and I immediately, at 7 p.m. Eastern, I go live. And then I immediately start. As y'all saw tonight, covered some topics, quickly, and got straight to the calls. Generally, I usually talk for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then I get straight to the callers, because I want to hear from y'all. You know what I'm saying? So what a lot of people do is they'll call in early, wait, and then get on the show early because they want their shine. I don't knock it. It's not illegal to do at all. It's very legal for you to call in early, wait about 5-10 minutes, and you get on the show early. No issues whatsoever. But I just put it out there because I like to let everybody know so that it's fair. excuse me, a lot of the, veteran savages, people that have been around for a while. I don't know how they figured out that was a trick that they could use. I don't know how they figured it out, but somebody figured it out, and they've been doing it for forever, okay? Outlaw says defamation of character. No. Blog Talk worked tonight, okay? It worked tonight, and I have the proof, all right? I've got the proof, okay? All right? I've got the proof, all right? So anybody that called in early tonight, I've got the proof, okay? All right? So, yeah, we have a lot of fun here. So please join us. The only thing that I do not allow on my show is cursing. Don't call into my show cursing. This is a family show. All right. We have young people that listen to us, old people that listen to us, and this is YouTube. Don't do that I don't play with YouTube. Okay. YouTube is very sensitive. All right. Very, very sensitive. And I love YouTube. So we've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. Okay. So don't call into my show cursing, because I'll get you up out of here. I'll give you a warning. Generally, I'll give you a warning. But if you keep it rolling, I'll get you rolling up out of here. Okay? And, veteran savages, y'all have seen it. I'll hang up right in your face, especially if I've already told you, hey, slow that down. Okay? Don't curse. This is a family show. Oh, well, I don't give a. Okay, well, I don't. You gone then. All right? I don't like doing that because I like to talk, I like to have, these discussions. This is what I do the show for, all right? To talk, about the Jets. This is what I enjoy. So please, have some decorum, all right? Yeah, so we have a lot of fun. We also watch games together as well. I'll let y'all know. I don't know about the playoff games. I'll let y'all know if I'm watching the game, but we watch Jets games, but clearly the Jets aren't on. So, I've watched a playoff game with y'all as well. I'll probably watch more in the future, but I'll let y'all know in advance. Bree says, I'm a witness for the defense. Bree, you've changed, man. They've changed you, man. Anybody trying to defend, I've got proof, y'all. Anyway, so, yeah, we watch games together, and that's a blast, too, especially during the season when the Jets are playing. And generally, we have live radio shows about, the Jets once the game is over. Those shows are usually cooking, okay? But, again, no cursing on those shows either. But we have a lot of fun doing that. So, yeah, please join me. I game on this channel, too, sometimes, play Street Fighter or something like that. Street Fighter 6 is garbage. I'm sorry. I don't know anybody that likes that game like that. I can't stand. The roster is terrible. Their roster is terrible. There's no one interesting on that roster. I don't get it. But anywho, I've played GTA. I'll play that again, sometime soon. There's other games as well. I can't wait for GTA 6 to come out. We're going to get that cooking as well. A lot of things going on. So please join me. I know a lot of people are upset because I don't game a lot or as much as I used to, but schedule, man. Got a lot of things going on, but we'll get to that. So if you catch your boy gaming, you see some video games coming on, hey man, come on in and join. You know what I'm saying? We having a lot of fun. All right. So we have a lot of fun, over here. So please get involved with everything that I'm doing. Subscribe if you haven't already. All right. So yeah, man. Salutes to everybody that joined me. Outlaw, salutes to you, man. Salutes to everybody. Okay. Good to see you in the building. Breeze, salutes. Good to see you in the building. GM. Outlaw says family show. Yeah, it is. It's a family show. It's a family show. We got to watch it. GVH, salutes. Good to see you in the building, man. Always good to see y'all, man. I want to thank everybody for coming on by. Hawkeye, always good to see you in the building. Yeah, man, I want to thank everybody for coming on by, saying what's up. June, the GM, I see you. Jack Kenneth, salutes. Man, oh, man. Bernard Nixon, excuse me, salutes. Good to see you in the building as well, man. Everybody that came on by, Lil Balloon, everybody, man, that stopped by and said what's up. All right. Yeah, a lot of good times here, man. And these playoff matchups is gonna be crazy, really, really crazy. Again, I'll let y'all know, man. But yeah, it's really good. Let me give y'all my thoughts on this. Let me see these matchups again. I'll tell you what, the Ravens was, brother. The Ravens laid waste to the Steelers. They made them look like they just didn't have no answer until the second half. The Steelers started coming back a bit, but, man, they couldn't stop. They could not stop the Ravens' running game, particularly in that first half. It was brutal. Texans-Chiefs, I'm taking the Chiefs, okay? I'm taking the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a tight game, though, but I'm taking the Chiefs to pull it out at the last second. Pause. I'm taking the Chiefs to win the game in the last seconds. Commanders-Lions. This is going to be a good game, too, but I am taking the Lions, okay? Rams-Eagles. Ooh. I don't know what it is. But I'm taking the Rams, okay? I'm taking the Rams. I don't know. I just think the Rams are going to take care of business in the Eagles' house. So we'll see. Ravens, Bills. Now, this one is going to be, a slobber knocker, okay? It's going to be all kinds of punches and haymakers thrown in this one. I'm taking the Ravens. I'm taking the Ravens to beat the Bills, man. That's gonna be a dogfight, though. That's gonna be a real dogfight. So I got Chiefs, Lions, Rams, Ravens. That's what I got. All right. So listen, folks, I'm gonna get on up out of here, okay? Because schedule's tough and I gotta roll. Listen, be safe, okay? Be safe. There's a lot of crazy things going on in this world. Do not ask me why, because it's crazy. I need y'all to be safe, all right? Be careful out there. Sit down with your friends and your family. Eat some good food. Watch some good TV. Make the moments with the people that you love the most, and let them know that you love them. It's important to me in my life, and I hope it's important to you in yours, all right? Be safe out here, y'all. A lot of crazy things going on in the world. GVH says, I do not want to see Makai, the left guard, Becton going forward. Didn't humble himself when he was with us. Yeah. Outlaw says, the battle of the MVP, allegedly, and it's supposed to be snowing on Sunday, too. Ooh, that means that the running game is going to be even more important, okay? This is going to be, I'm telling you, that game, that's the one right there. That's the one that if you miss all the other ones, you definitely got to watch that game for sure. That's going to be a really, really tough game, man. Really, really tough game. Really competitive. Can't wait to see it. So